Yeah, welcome to Wrestling Uncensored. We're a week away from Wrestlemania. Tonight on the show, we'll talk about CM Punk's deleted Instagram post, what's his future with AEW, and of course, we'll review Smackdown and Raw and AEW Dynamite, AE Dynamite, and all those other things. Hey, my brother's not here. Let's start the show. I don't know if you saw that, John, but my brother's name was there. I was like, wait a second. He's not here. He'll be here. He'll be here for WrestleMania with me. He's not here right now. It's just me. Just one Simon brother. I'm the Mario to his Luigi, as you all know. Johnny, big man, how you feeling? We're a week away from the biggest show of the year, WrestleMania. It feels like Vince is back, too, right? Crazy.
I don't know why people keep saying that way. I feel like Vince is back. Like, just because we're around WrestleMania time, like, what does it make it feel like Vince is back in terms of the programming?
Well, I don't know. A couple things that people have noticed, right? They were kind of talking about Chad Gable in a derogatory way on Raw. Kind of the way Vince would talk about him. There's a couple things. There's one report, I think, from the Wrestling Observer, I'm not 100%, that they had to reshoot a promo backstage because they said wrestling in it. And apparently Vince is back. He's around. He's in Gorilla. And people are kind of thinking, well, maybe he's going to take over creative again. I mean, it's not clear from the TV show that Vince is back, but the rumors are out there, right? You've seen that.
Yeah, and some people are going to say, yeah, he's there, or they think he might be there, or he's got some say. And to me, it doesn't seem to make a difference to the TV. Like, I feel like it's been the same kind of story week in, week out. Nothing's really changed too much. Maybe some little slight tweaks here and there, but I think it's just because they realize some of the stories are kind of lacking, so they're trying to add something to them. And I don't know about you, like, they kept saying, like, oh, we're only a couple of days away from WrestleMania, and I'm like, at this point, it feels like they need to be at WrestleMania because they don't have much left really to offer us. I found, like, except for that main event of Raw promo, like, it was really rough to watch WWE this week.
Yeah, we're ready for it, right? They've built it up. We know what we're in for. We're ready to go. We're ready for WrestleMania at this point. Tonight's SmackDown was a little soft. Right?
The ending wasn't great.
No. A little bit strange, too, the whole Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn interaction, which we can get to here in a minute. But WrestleMania right now, a week away. Next week, they're going to have WrestleMania Smackdown. I don't know if you noticed that.
Right.
They said they're going to do the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on SmackDown next week.
We saw who's in it.
So when's the Hall of Fame?
Immediately following SmackDown.
On the network?
Probably, I'm guessing, yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I don't know. Okay. But we're immediately following SmackDown.
I know. We have competition next week.
What the hell, man? But I want to watch the Hall of Fame. It's going to be hard to do. Okay.
Like, watch it later. Watch it the next day.
All right. Well, we'll preview WrestleMania next week. We'll do the whole card rundown and everything. Bobby Lashley was in the graphic for the Andre Battle Royal. Is that his match?
Night. Yeah, I would think. I mean, who else is he going to wrestle at this point? I thought maybe he'd wrestle solo or maybe Randy Orton would come back. But it's not looking like that. Battle Royal. That's not a bad thing. You know, he wins the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. They'll have a statue to walk around with for a while.
Okay. Whatever
Better
happened
than being Bray Wyatt.
Whatever happened to MVP trying to bring Bobby back into the Hurt Business and try to reunite that whole group with Omos and Shelton and Cedric? That dissolved. It just disappeared. Right? What happened?
Well, I think it was probably going to tie into the Bray story, right? I think that's how it was going to play out, that he was going to have the Hurt Business help him to beat Bray kind of thing, but
Okay.
that didn't turn out that way. So maybe they'll turn it where, maybe Brock gets the win and then the Hurt Business beat him down kind of thing. It could be that.
With Bobby joining in to help Omos?
Sure. Sure, it makes sense.
But they were
Proceed
supposed
with
to be
Brock.
Bobby's backup, not the other way around. Bobby's not backup. Bobby was supposed to wrestle Bray Wyatt. I don't know what's going on with Bray Wyatt. It's an undisclosed health issue, I think. Maybe he's got
Right.
COVID. Who knows, right?
Well,
But
there was a report too about he's got some sort of depression or something too. Like he had this before in the past. So
okay.
might be that.
Okay. So he's not going to be at WrestleMania.
Doesn't look like it. I mean, I did see him still on the graphic though. You see when they pan and they show all the graphics of all the people, Bray Wyatt still has a graphic there, but I think that's just old, I guess. And they weren't planning on him not being there.
It's looking unlikely at this point. With Bobby Lashley in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, unless they do some sort of angle next week, during the Battle Royal, after the Battle Royal, whatever, with Bobby and Bray, right? Which they could do. They could just set it up next week, right?
Well, their kickoff show is 2 hours, each night. So, I mean, there's plenty of time both nights to add more matches. I hope Ronda and Shayna get another match added because I think the 4-way is not enough for them, but that's just one of many things that should be added, I think, to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
We want more matches, obviously. We don't have enough matches.
I would like to see Ronda and Shayna win that 4-way on the first night and then challenge for the tag belts and win them on the second night. I think Ronda and Shayna against Lita and Becky on night 2 would make a lot of sense. Set up some sort of angle where they attack, Trish, Lita, and Becky after their match, after they beat Damage Control, and then set up a tag match for the next night. They say, you guys aren't really a tag team. You're not fighting champions. You're cowards, whatever. Tag team match the next night, playa, for the belts. And then give them to Ronda and Shayna because Becky and Lita aren't going to go on and defend the belts for a long stretch of time.
No, you're right. 100%. I completely agree.
But maybe they stretch it to WrestleMania Backlash.
Well, that's going to be in Puerto Rico. Are they coming all the way down for that too?
Well, shouldn't Lita be in Puerto Rico? I mean, wasn't she with S.A. Rios when she debuted in WWF? She should be showing up there. Maybe S.A. Rios will be there. He's Puerto Rican, wasn't he?
I believe he was from there, if I'm not mistaken, but
S.A. Rios. Yeah,
still
she doesn't need
to
be there. Yeah, I know. It's a stretch. I'm just saying they might not do it at WrestleMania. They might want to push it, right? They like to drag things out. So I could see Becky and Lita holding the belts, but I would rather just Ronda and Shayna take them on night 2. I think it would be cool, too, to set a precedent where, you have the card for night 1, you have the card for night 2, but things could happen where matches could be made on night 1 for night 2. It's never happened before, and I think it would be a cool thing to do. And I agree with you that Ronda Rousey just wrestling in this fatal 4-way tag team match with Liv Morgan and Shotzi, and, it's like, what? How is that all she's doing at WrestleMania? Feels disrespectful to who she is. So,
well, given that she was like a main event of WrestleMania and then put into this, it's a huge step down.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
You got to imagine the price tag, too, on Ronda Rousey is high enough that you might want to get some value out of her and not stick her in some jabroni tag team match. Right? Like, how much you paying Ronda? Right. Would you stick Brock Lesnar in one of these matches? Imagine if Brock Lesnar was Ricochet's tag team partner instead of Braun Strowman, and he was in that fatal 4-way jabroni tag team match. Imagine the shock and outrage of the wrestling community. The fact that people aren't more upset that Ronda is in this jabroni match for WrestleMania is surprising to me. Because I'm like, disgusted. I'm like, really? This is what you're doing with Ronda Rousey? People don't get it. People don't get it. In time they will, but now, Ronda is one of these people that's just not appreciated enough in her time. And she talks about it in her promos, and she's correct.
Well, also, we need to take into consideration that she's not 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she still had her elbow taped up, so there's possibly, she might not be cleared to wrestle right now. So she might be limited come WrestleMania, so maybe that might be a big reason. But still, you still got to put her in something if she's going to be involved in some capacity. It's got to be something of decent profile. And that 4-way is not enough.
Nowhere close. Ryan Katz in the chat. Trans Am in the chat. Shout out to some people watching us right now. CSL Lorne. Ryan Katz saying, apparently Trish will turn on Becky and feud with her at SummerSlam. I've heard those rumors too. I don't really like a heel Trish Stratus. Like maybe Becky turning on Trish, I guess, would make more sense. But either way, I'm not too excited about Becky versus Trish. And if that's the post-match angle at Mania, I will be disappointed. Like if that match ends, if WrestleMania Night 1 ends, right, and Ronda Rousey doesn't have another match for Night 2, that's going to be a miss from the WWE.
Oh, I agree completely. And they can still do that heel turn. Just I wouldn't do it against Damage Control. I'd do it against Ronda and Shayna. I think, yeah, then it would kind of fit kind of thing.
Yeah. So we'll see for that, for the Ronda Rousey situation there. But again, could you imagine if Brock was put in the Fatal 4-Way match? Like,
wow, look at Brock this year.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel like it's a huge step down. So.
Right, but he's wrestling a giant. You know what I mean? At least
it's an attraction.
It's an attraction match. It's something. They're putting emphasis on it. They're having a weigh-in on Monday night. They've given Omos squash matches and promos and all sorts of stuff. Ronda's barely been on TV. And they really haven't done much to build anything for her. Misfire for Ronda Rousey. All right. What else is happening at WrestleMania? So maybe Bobby just has this match for the Andre Battle Royal, and that's it? Which is crazy. They said John Cena and Theory will open up Night 1, right?
That's correct, yeah. They announced that on SmackDown.
You like that? Cena opening up the show?
Well, I think the way they're thinking on this is that it's not a match people are really going to look back on and say that was an amazing match. But if it's the first match, crowd's going to be decently hot for it, regardless what it is. So I think that's the main reason for it, to be first. And I think it'll be all right, but that's about as good as it's going to get.
And you think Theory's going to win, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That's kind of a downer for an opener, though, isn't it? For the crowd?
Well, it's their choice to do that as the opener. That's not what I would have done, but that's what they think is the best, because I think they want Cena to get a good reaction, people actually be caring about the match. And I think it's the kind of match where if it's later in the card, I don't think people are going to be really up for it. Be kind of tired or bored, I think, at that point.
Yeah. I don't know. Having John Cena lose in the opening match might not be the best thing for the crowd going forward. They might be mad. We'll see.
There's other things that'll make them happy, though, I'm sure. You know, you have Kevin and Sami probably win the tag team titles. I think people will survive, given that will happen, I think.
Yeah, people are excited about that. Shout out to everybody watching us on Rumble, Eagle 999, checking us out, supporting the Ringside Report Network. Rumble. We are ready to rumble. And Rumble
We're getting comments on Rumble now?
Yeah, we're getting comments on Rumble. We got to give shout-outs to Rumble. Rumble's on fire. The Ringside Report Network is on fire on Rumble. On fire on YouTube. But Rumble is, like, taking over. I think Rumble is where it's at. AJ's very excited about all the Rumble activity. So we're rumbling. We are on Rumble. We are on Twitch, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. We're on all the things. And now Rumble. We're on the front page of Rumble. Shout out to Rumble. Johnny, WrestleMania coming up in a week's time. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, of course, going up against the Usos for the tag team titles. Tonight on SmackDown, we had a promo between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. That was strange. Kevin Owens hosts the Kevin Owens show. He introduces Sami Zayn. Kevin says, oh, you wanted to come out by yourself. I wanted to come out together, but you wanted to come out and get your pop, and I understand that. The fans love you. I get it. But Sami's like, what? But Kevin's like, yeah, you're selfish. He didn't say it, but that's kind of what he was saying, right? And Kevin seemed not happy with Sami throughout this promo. It was different. And it made you think, Kevin's going to turn on this guy any minute now, right? He seemed like he was about ready to powerbomb him on the apron like he did his first night in NXT. Sami talks about the opportunity they have to take out the bloodline at WrestleMania and how big that is, and they could do it together and be tag team champions. And Kevin has a new shirt for Sami, and he shows the front, and it's KO Mania, and Sami's happy about that. But then he shows the real front of the shirt, because the back is actually KO Mania, and the front of the shirt says WrestleZania for Sami Zayn. WrestleZania goes Hollywood with the WrestleMania logo, right? Sami's all excited, and Kevin seems kind of like, got you the shirt. Sami wants a hug. They hug. They get attacked by the Usos. Usos knock Owens out of the ring. Sami takes the 1D. Kevin comes back with a chair. Usos scatter. SmackDown over. But just Kevin's attitude in this promo and the opening part where he's talking about Sami wanting to get his pop and get the adulation from the fans and all of that. Interesting. They're on the same page, but are they?
Well, I found it very interesting that they opened Raw and they ended SmackDown this week. So I think they realized that this is something people really care about quite a bit, that it has to span 2 shows, and it's good for the start. It's also good for an ending as well. I just felt on Raw, because they had the announcement where they finally made the match official, so it felt like this was a big deal kind of thing. Or this, it's like, well, we're just going to do a little skit here where Kevin and Sami will do a bit of comedy in a way. That's the way I looked at it. It was just them doing a little bit, going off each other a little bit. Like, they're feud in a sense. Like, regardless that they're teaming, that there's always a little bit of friction between two. It's always going to be that way between them, where it feels like they could break up at any moment, but they're still a team. I just felt the t-shirt wasn't the best way to do it. It's okay, but it's nothing great. And thankfully, the Usos actually did come out and attack them, because I'm like, this is not a great way to end SmackDown. It still wasn't great, but at least it added some sort of excitement, because just getting a t-shirt like that, maybe that's great for Sami, but it wasn't great to watch, to be honest.
Yeah. But Kevin seemed more irritated with Sami. Sami just seemed to be loving Kevin, right? Very happy with Kevin.
Yeah, but that stays true to more what Kevin is, like, Kevin's a bit of a jerk. That's more of his character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now it's like, well, he says he's my friend, so this is how I treat my friends. I'm very much a jerk to my friends. That stays true to what Kevin is.
Okay. But he was a lot more on Sami's side on Monday night. Like, I feel like his attitude changed, and I'm not really sure what happened. Right? Kevin and Sami cut a promo in the ring Monday night. The fans are chanting their name. Sami says it feels good to be on the same page again and all of that. They're excited. Kevin says he's always been Sami's biggest fan, and it frustrated him to see him in the bloodline when he's better than all of those guys. Like, Kevin was fully behind Sami, whereas tonight he was kind of shaky with him. What happened?
Right.
It was different.
Well, I think he just realized it's like, it's good to be, friendly with him, but I can't be that friendly with him because it's never been that way. Or we're just like completely buddy. But, for the most part, we will be. It's just we're gonna have moments where we won't be. So I guess they felt they had a moment on SmackDown where they could just be more themselves, I think.
I think it is less interesting, too, when they're just buddy and all friendly and hugs and smiles, right? When they have a little bit of friction, it's more interesting to watch because you're like, oh, what's going on here? It's something. And you wonder, like, will they or won't they?
I don't disagree. It's something. I just didn't think it was much of anything, though, unfortunately, on SmackDown. Like, if you had a better idea than just like a t-shirt reveal, which is just the usual KO thing, just a little thing added, like, and they kind of botched the reveal anyway, so it was awkward a little bit. But it wasn't really anything great to end the show. Maybe to start the show, it would have possibly gone off better, but to end the show, it just felt kind of weak.
They didn't have anything else.
Well, no Roman. So yeah, it hurts the show a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
On Raw tonight, or on Raw Monday, the Usos came out and didn't want to have the match. Jimmy was like, no match, after Kevin challenged him. But then Jay's like, oh, it might be our one shot to put Sami and Kevin away. So it's like, okay, we'll have the match.
Yeah, but for the titles, like, don't make them earn it or anything. Just give them the title shot. That was weird.
Yeah, I didn't love the way they set that up for WrestleMania. It was kind of
lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Jimmy's like, no. But Jay's like, well, but we could beat them up this way. And Jimmy's like, okay, that makes sense. They cut a promo tonight on SmackDown and you beat them up. I mean, you can beat them up anytime you want. If they show up to your workplace, you could attack them with your brother and your cousin and Paul Heyman if you want to. 5-on-1 or 5-on-2 or 5-on-1.
Right.
Pick them off. I mean, these people attack each other backstage with weapons all the time. You're telling me that to get their hands on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the only way to do it is in a wrestling match? I watch too much WWE to know that is, ridiculous. It's a ridiculous idea. Wait a second, this is the only way that we can take out Kevin and Sami, by wrestling them. You attacked him on SmackDown tonight. You hit your finishing move on Sami Zayn tonight. So you're going to hit it like 1,000,000 times on him at WrestleMania? No, you're going to lose your tag team belts at WrestleMania is what's going to happen.
Well, I just don't like how the tag team titles just like, oh, it just happens that they be the tag team champions. And of course we'll just get a title shot. Like, nothing earned or anything like that. It happens like that. Yeah, and Sami built it up good on SmackDown. We're like, this is a cool thing for us on WrestleMania. Like, we just happen to go for the tag team titles. Like, yeah, this is great. Of course it is great, but the build, I don't think, was great in terms of that. This is what I was kind of fearful about when they were doing this, where it's like, it's better we get to this earlier so we can actually build a better story. But now it feels like you're getting some parts that are rushed because they didn't really plan it out. They just cared more about the drama of them getting together.
Well, that's it. It was all about them getting together. And now that they got together, it's like, all right, we're together. And I think maybe they were trying to add something to it tonight. But the setting up of the tag team title match, yeah, I know. It wasn't much, John. I'm not saying they did much. I liked Roman Reigns' work on Raw this week. He was good on Raw.
I thought part of Raw.
He's the man. He's the top act in the company, and he's doing great stuff. He wasn't happy that the Usos got, hit a little bit by Kevin and Sami earlier in the night. And Jimmy says, well, nothing can hit me harder than being torn away from my brother and having to sit there and answer to it like it's my fault. And then Roman's like, what? What are you saying to me right now?
That was good stuff.
And then Roman's look to him was like amazing. And then Jimmy's like, And I'll never forgive Sami Zayn for doing this. I was like, oh, yeah. Roman's like, all right, everybody leave except for Jay. I got to talk to Jey Uso. But that was really good. Jimmy, like, seemed like he was about to flip out on Roman. And Roman's like, what? Jimmy's like, it's Sammy's fault. But he was kind of flipping out on Roman, right? Because he said, I have to sit there and answer to it like it's my fault. But it's Sammy's fault.
Right.
But still, he was upset that Roman was kind of blaming him. And he was expressing that. And Roman was like, don't get out of line here, man. What's going on? It was good.
Well, it's a good way to tease the tension where it's like maybe the bloodline will fall apart, but maybe they won't. You just have to wait and see. I mean, I could see them losing at WrestleMania. It feels like that, but will they like separate? I'm not sure about that though. Like maybe they will, but not right away. I don't think right after WrestleMania just because they lose.
Yeah, I don't think that they completely break up after Mania. We'll see who's still champion after Mania. Roman and Jey Uso in the locker room. Roman asks Jey Uso if he's still in the bloodline, if he's still family, and Jey says yes, and he is. And Roman tells Jey that he hopes so, and he loves him. And then Jey leaves, and Heyman's like, did you get the answers you were looking for? And Roman's like, yes. Yes, I did, wise man. So it seems like Jey Uso now fully back in the fold. They had to do that. But I think it's going to be a question of, is Roman around after WrestleMania? I think it's less, does the bloodline break up, and more, do they just lose their leader for a time after Mania because Roman takes a vacation after he loses the belt? Or does he lose the belt?
That's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm feeling Cody's going to win right now, but I feel like I'm also changing my pick almost every second week, so we'll have to wait and see. But it's interesting. Like, it's close. It's definitely the closest it's been for Roman, I think, ever since his reign started. This is definitely his toughest defense.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if he's going to win this one.
Cody's a megastar in professional wrestling. He is getting top reviews from a critical standpoint. He is getting a lot of love from the fans. All the fans, kids, adults, women, men. Everybody is into what Cody Rhodes is doing right now. He's very much a throwback style professional wrestler in the style of a Ric Flair or a Dusty Rhodes or a Harley Race. He's very NWA style, but for a new generation and with a newer perspective. A lot like Triple H in a lot of ways, too. And, he's got this character down very well. And the promo from Roman and Cody on Raw in the main event this week was the best thing WWE did all week. And a big part of that is Cody, but a big part of that is Roman Reigns, too. That promo was incredible. Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa come to the ring because Roman sent the Usos to the private jet because he had a bunch of seafood waiting for them. It sounded delicious. Really
Shrimp,
sounded great.
Lobster. Yeah.
Shrimp and lobster? Man, I wish I was in the bloodline. You know what I'm saying? God. Sounds delicious. Private jets eating lobster? I love lobster. It's my favorite. Shrimp and lobster?
I'm big on shrimp. Shrimp and sushi. It's really good.
I don't eat sushi. I don't like the sushi, but I love shrimp and lobster. My
okay,
God.
well, it's still good.
Give me a big old lobster, crack that baby open with some garlic butter. Oh, man. Summertime's coming, man. It's going to be lobster season soon. I'm going to be eating a ton of lobster. Lobster rolls. Oh, I'm getting hungry just talking about lobster. Where were we?
Talking about the Roman and Cody, the promo on Raw. The best part of Raw. The only good part of Raw.
Oh, lobster. So delicious. All right. Roman tells St. Louis to acknowledge him, and they do. Cody Rhodes then comes out immediately and says, I know what Roman wants to talk about. I heard Roman's warning about staying out of his personal bloodline business, and I heard Heyman say that they have a Cody Rhodes problem, and I want you to define the Cody Rhodes problem, Roman Reigns. So Roman says, Cody, you're not the problem. It's what you represent. And this is where it got so good.
Mhm.
Roman says, Cody is what Cody, you're what we used to be. Like my father, like your father. You're a professional wrestler. Roman says, I'm not that. I'm a fighter, which has allowed me to be the megastar around here. So Roman says he's a fighter, which is like, what? But you know what he's saying. He's like, I'm not that style wrestler. I'm new style. You're just, And Roman says Cody isn't going to do things he says he's going to do, like win the championship at WrestleMania. Roman says Cody was Stardust and he didn't like it, so he ran away. Roman says he started his own company that he couldn't get over in, so he ran away.
Ouch.
He started his own company that he couldn't get over in, so he ran away. I mean, the fans were hating Cody at the end of his AEW run, and he was a babyface and was not turning heel. And
yeah, it was a fight.
It was not working, and it was kind of like, guys, we're at a critical point here. What do we do with Cody? Everybody was like panicking, right? It was bad. And then he left.
Well, the matches were always interesting, though. I always said back then, like, Cody was always fun to watch, but always felt like it was a fight between him and the fans, though.
And I never really understood why or when they turned. It just happened.
I think it was the Anthony Go-Go match. I think that's when it started.
How was that Cody's fault? That he was trying to bring up a guy who absolutely sucked? Was that Cody's fault?
I think the fans blamed him, yeah.
That guy was, a big failure. Never went anywhere in AEW after that. So he ran away. Okay? Roman says Cody came back, got over in the WWE, but his body quit on him and his little peck went pop because he's not built for this. See, he says Cody won't finish the story on April 2nd. And the real moment is on April 3rd when he wakes up and has to look in the mirror and confront the adversity again. Roman wants Cody to look in the mirror and make a choice that his dad would be proud of. I want you to wake up, look in the mirror, make a choice that your dad will be proud of. Don't run away. Otherwise, Cody will probably do what he always does and run like a little bitch.
Destroyed him on that one.
Just obliterated him in this promo. But the Codester fired back. Cody says, I did run away. And what I did when I ran away was made it so 100% of every locker room can make more money. Which was like, yeah, that's a solid point, Cody. You helped start a company that elevated the pay scale for everybody in professional wrestling because there was another billionaire with money who had money to spend, right?
It's more jobs. That's what he did. He created jobs.
Created jobs and created bidding wars for certain people, right? I mean, Roman Reigns can ask for more money because if the WWE doesn't pay him, AEW might.
Right, yeah.
You think WWE wants to lose a guy like Roman Reigns? You think AEW wouldn't pay everything to get a guy like Roman Reigns if it was possible, if he was a free agent?
Edge got more money because of this.
Everybody's getting more money because there's two companies, right? So Cody fired back. He says, I wanted to be a superstar, but maybe on the inside, I'm a runaway, I'm violent, and I like the taste of my own blood type of professional wrestler. Cody says, no one needs to bring up my father one more time. If they do, I'm going to puke. He said puke, right?
I think so.
Puke. That's a funny word. Costanza, you know? Banya? No? Nothing? All right.
I thought they were going with Darren Drozdov, but okay.
No. George likes Banya. Jerry goes, I think I'm going to puke. And George goes, puke. That's a funny word. You know, he thinks it's funny. He likes Banya. George is a closet Banya fan. Anyways. Cody says that his brother works elsewhere and the only Rhodes you're going to see at WrestleMania is me. And my mother would tell me to knock that boy out, and when he's lying there, hit him again for good measure. And April 3rd, Roman Reigns is going to have to wake up and remember what it's like to lose. And Roman's going to wake up without those titles. And Cody says when that happens, Jay and Jimmy are going to leave him. And Cody tells Solo to stop looking at him all hard, and he's not ready, and he'll probably leave Roman too. And Heyman is going to become an advocate again, so he'll leave him and go back to Brock Lesnar. And Cody says that Roman will be a chief without a tribe, and the fans chant Cody's name. And Roman got real mad and left. And Solo and Cody went face to face. So Roman goes on the aisle, and Solo kind of steps to Cody. And Roman asks Heyman, what is Solo doing? And Solo goes to leave because Roman's like, get back here. And Cody gets on the mic. Was he on the mic at this point or just in his face?
Yeah, Cody got back on the mic.
He was back on the mic. And he says, see, Solo, I knew you weren't ready. And then Solo gets mad and goes to Samoan Spike Cody. But Cody boots him in the head. And then Solo wants more, and Roman goes to stop him, and then Roman and Solo leave. And now, on Raw Monday, it's going to be Solo versus Cody, which should be fun. I like Solo. Solo doesn't have to say a lot. His facial expressions and the way he kind of carries himself, very good. I haven't really heard him speak, and maybe there's a reason for that, but just the way he's been filling this role in the bloodline, the way that he acted at the end of this promo was perfect. You know? I don't think enough people are giving credit to how good Solo Sikoa is in all this. The guy says nothing, but you know what he's thinking with his face. It's very impressive. He's got very good facial expressions. And in the ring, he's not bad. He's getting better, and he's imposing. He's got a tremendous look. Like, this guy's going to be money one day.
Yeah, you can tell, like, they're really building him up. Like, to me, like, if you look at him from NXT to now, there's a huge improvement. You could tell being on the main roster has clearly, like, changed him in terms of being a worker in the ring. So, like, it just, sky's the limits pretty much for him. I mean, being around main event guys can only make you better, so.
Yeah.
I definitely think he could be one of the top guys. Just, it's not going to happen right away. Just, take time, but he's on the right path.
I mean, his brothers are the Usos. His cousin is Roman Reigns. He's grown up in the business. He's been working with Roman, Usos, Sami, Paul Heyman every week for months now. He's going to get better. He's under the learning tree in a big way. You can't get much better than that. So Solo is going to be a special star, I think. Because already, every time I see him, I like him. I'm like, yeah, this is good. He's got something. He's got some Umaga flavor to him, too. He's got that kind of...
the dress up.
Well, with the spike, too, he's got his finisher. Yeah.
I do think Cody wins, though, on Raw. I think he ends the undefeated streak of Solo, I think.
Solo is undefeated.
Well, I mean, technically there's been some DQs, but he's never been pinned. So I think Cody will actually pin him, I think.
Cody's undefeated, right?
Yeah, Cody is going to remain undefeated going to WrestleMania, I think, yes.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Although maybe Solo gets a win, ends Cody's undefeated streak before WrestleMania, and puts some doubt in the fans' mind.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. You know, to me, this is very much like when they had Austin against like the Big Show. It was Big Show's debut, and you're like, wow, how is Big Show gonna lose his debut match? Well, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, so it's kind of like that. You know, like Austin's going to Mania to face The Rock. You know, Austin's got to win, so Cody's got to win.
I think you're probably right. Cody won tonight. He beat Ludwig Kaiser. Pinned him after the Crossroads. Heyman and Solo watched from ringside. Solo got on the apron after the match. Heyman had some words with Cody, talking about Solo wrestling Cody on Raw Monday, and says Roman Reigns will be on SmackDown next week to go face-to-face with Cody one more time. And Cody says, okay, Solo, I accept your challenge for Raw. You're still not ready. The crowd then chanted, you're not ready yet, Solo. And says Roman will find out on at WrestleMania that he's not ready either. So that was Cody tonight on SmackDown. And Roman will be on WrestleMania SmackDown next Friday, as will Cody. As will a bunch of people, I'm guessing, right? Should be a big SmackDown next week. Everybody's in town, so expect some legends. The Andre Battle Royal is going to happen. I mean, stuff's going to happen on SmackDown next week.
Yes and no. Like, I definitely expect a lot of just, like, segments. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, it just feels like that's all we get now. Like, there's not much in terms of wrestling. You'll maybe get a little bit here and there, but it's mainly just about backstage stuff and just promos in the ring now.
Yeah, well, that's it. Because the wrestling's going to happen at Mania. It's all about the build now. You're not wrong, but, I mean, some of the promos are interesting. Harold Schneider dropping the Super Chat over on YouTube. Thank you, Harold. You're the Super Chat leader of the night so far. He says, I still have trouble with Cody leaving AEW. Yeah, I think that there's a segment of the audience that resents Cody for leaving AEW. That, you know, he kind of helped build this great company and this kind of opposition to the WWE, and he was acting in opposition to the WWE in a lot of ways, breaking the throne with the sledgehammer and all of that stuff. And not only is he the first major AEW star to leave AEW and go to the WWE, right? It's not like MJF has gone and Darby has gone and a bunch of people have gone and now Cody goes. He is the first guy from AEW to go to the WWE. Yeah. And he is definitely made into a bigger star in AEW. It's not like Cody was a big star when he left WWE and comes to AEW, comes in from AEW the same level. No, he's elevated from AEW because of AEW in a lot of ways. So Cody Rhodes is an AEW star who went to WWE. And not only is he the first guy, he's also one of the founding members of the goddamn company. So, yeah, I could see why you might resent that as a wrestling fan. I could see that. And I kind of feel that way. Like, Cody kind of sold out to the evil empire here by going to the WWE. And it's like, well, he wanted to win the title. His dad never won. What is he, a fucking mark? It's a belt. Like, who gives a shit? You were the boss in AEW, and now you're just one of the guys in WWE because you want to take Roman Reigns' spot? No, there's a part of me that feels that way. But at the same time, I love Cody's work. And I think, Cody's good. I think he's fantastic. But yeah, there's a part of me that goes, how come he left AEW? But at the same time, there's another part of me that goes, he probably had his reasons. Maybe he just didn't like Tony Khan. Maybe he didn't want to deal with CM Punk. Who knows? Maybe he saw the writing on the wall with CM Punk and was like, you know what, guys? I don't want to get assaulted here. I'm out. This guy's going to beat me up one day. I don't want to be around when he beats me up. This guy fought in the UFC, man. He's scary. You know?
Well, if you want to believe what Cody said he had no problems with Punk, and it's not the reason why he left. So
sure. Well, why did he leave then? To win the WWF Championship? Like, what? Really?
Well,
why do you leave?
He said it wasn't because of Punk. It wasn't because of the Elite. It was because of a personal issue between him and Tony Khan.
So he didn't like Tony Khan. Some personal. What's the personal issue? What happened?
I don't know. It could be a number of things. It might be just in terms of like he wanted more money, possibly. He possibly wanted creative control, and that's a slippery slope when that happens. When you're a wrestler and you have creative control, as we've seen in the past with people that have that, it can lead to a lot of problems. So
that's right, brother.
Maybe there was something about that. Also, like, to me, like, when AEW started, like, he was the star of the show. Like, remember the first show of the pandemic when it happened? Like, Cody's the one who opened the show.
Yeah.
So to me, like, he was the guy that the show kind of revolved around practically. Even though he wasn't the champion, everything he did seemed to be like the most important thing that happened. But I think along the way, he kind of lost that. And maybe he just felt he wasn't the guy anymore. And he didn't like the way things were being set up. He wanted to change it. And I guess there was an issue there with that.
Yep.
So I think he did the best thing for him. So, and I guess AEW was okay with it because they let him out of his contract. So they didn't extend him. They could have. So, I mean, I think both parties were happy with it in the end. So it worked out for both, I think.
I mean, it's working out for Cody right now. And he could always go back to AEW in a few years when his contract is up, a much bigger star. Right?
Right? Yeah,
much
possible.
And he may just beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But I am not convinced. I am not convinced that Cody will win. I think he probably will win. But the Tribal Chief, man, I don't know.
So your pick right now is Roman?
No, my pick is Cody.
Okay.
No, my pick is Cody, but, I mean, it's hard to bet against Roman, right? There's doubt.
Yeah, of course. There's doubt. Like, I'm 60% sure Cody's going to win, but it's only 60%.
Like, I'm like 90% sure Sami and Kevin will win, right?
Yeah, sure.
So
yeah, Cody's not a lock, but I'd go more towards Cody than I would Roman right now.
How about Rey and Dominic? They set that up tonight. It's official. Rey will wrestle his son that he mostly abandoned throughout his whole life, but he bought him some designer clothes, so that makes up for it, right? What a good dad Rey is. Terrible father.
Well,
terrible father. Dominic is right. I'm on Team Dominic. I'm switching sides. I've had it with Rey and his awful parenting. This guy was not around for his son whatsoever. Comes on TV admitting this as such, and then says, well, I bought you nice clothes and cool cars, so what's your problem, man? Dominic's like, you're a deadbeat father. You're garbage. I want to wrestle you at WrestleMania and beat you up because you have never been around for me. And these guys, Damian Priest and Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley, they're more family than I am. And the commentary team keeps telling us that Dominic has been kicked out of the Mysterio family group chat, which is real nice when you have a problem with a family member. Just completely kick him out of a chat where he can't assault Rey in the chat. Is just going to say mean things, so you just kicked him out. You don't want to talk to him. You don't want to try and work it out. I mean, the fact that Rey is admitting he was never around for his son and is still the babyface is shocking. But it shouldn't be shocking because you know who's writing this stuff. It's all a bunch of old wrestlers who also were never around for their children, who were also married like 6 times. And, they
Not
have some
everyone's Ric
children
Flair,
and they
by the
don't
way.
know. What?
So not everyone's Ric Flair writing this.
A lot of them are. Ric Flair is not a unique tale. He is unique in the sense of his success in wrestling, but not in, the sense of how he lived his life. Come on, man. Most of these guys do not know their children. And Dominic Mysterio was saying, I never saw my father. And it's true. Ray was on the road. It's not a lie. He's not lying. And Ray comes out, he's like, yeah, well, but I bought you stuff. Dominic's like, let's fight. I'm on Team Dominic.
Well, the reason why Ray's a face is because I think a lot of people see through this BS story where it's clearly obvious, like, Ray was always there for his family. Like, his family was always around him almost every chance he got. He did shoot interviews where he has Dominic in his lap when he's like 3 years old. Like, he's always like with his family. There's so many family pictures of him over the years. We've had to live through Dominic on television 2005 and like 2010. Them just randomly, they're on Smackdown. It's a Rey Mysterio Appreciation Night. They're always around in some capacity over the years. And now Dominic gets a dream job with WWE just because he's Ray's son. Yeah, like, I think a lot of people see through all this. Like, it's just a story so they can have a match. But everyone can see, like, Ray has pretty much given Dom everything in his life. This is just a BS story.
Yeah, but Ray was on the road a lot. Like, he missed a lot of fathering time.
He missed a soccer game or two. Okay, but I doubt he missed everything. How many injuries did he have? How many times was he at home because he was hurt all the time? Like, come on. Like,
yeah, but that's not useful. That's not useful.
He still saw his son, though.
When you're sitting on your ass because you got a bum knee, you're not helping out anybody. I don't know.
He still saw his son. He's still around for him. For years he was injured, so can't tell me. I'm sure he saw his son a lot more than a lot of wrestlers probably did. So
yeah, but a lot of most wrestlers do not see their children. Like
that's
Undertaker
fine,
did his whole Hall of Fame speech. He's like, I've got some adult children that I don't really know, and I'm trying to do better with the young ones. And it's like, yeah, okay.
Well, he had 3 wives. That's different.
There you go. It's not 6, but it's half. It's pretty close.
Yeah, but Ray had 1 wife. That was it.
Ray
2
seems
kids,
more of a family man than other people in the wrestling business. Sure. But the story that they're telling, right, is that Ray wasn't around. And Ray comes out and goes, yeah, I wasn't around. But I got you nice stuff. And we're supposed to be like, yeah, fuck you, Dominic. You got your nice stuff. Like, well, wait a second. It doesn't make a ton of sense. But, they tried to make it work tonight. Right? They tried.
It's the nature of the beast, though. Like, he's on the road 300 days a year. Like, yeah, he's not going to be there all the time, but I think we've seen so many times throughout the years that he made his family come on the road with him a couple of times.
Yeah.
So, like, he tried his best for his family. Even in WCW, he did that.
Yeah.
So, like, come on.
And I'm not saying don't be a wrestler, don't go on the road, but, I feel like the guys in AEW, they seem to have it right. You go for 1 show a week and you're there for your kids the rest of the time. It just seems like a lot of time on the road, the wrestling life. I don't know. It would be tough for me. I don't think I'd be able to handle it. Just being away from my kids for like 4 days of a week, every week for years on end. Like, what the hell? It's a lot, man.
It's rough. It's not easy for some. It's definitely hard. But it's going to be hard for AEW if they're going to have this Saturday show, too, because they're starting that in the summertime.
Yeah, but they'll do tapings for that. Double
right, still, but still, it's another day or 2. You never know.
Yeah, but it's an easier schedule than the WWE or the WWF was, right? Even WWE now, it's a far less hectic schedule than it was before, right? But Ray seems like he tried. I mean, he's always involved his family, so yeah, for sure. And he's got Dominic there.
I mean,
and
we
he's
had to
probably
put up
gonna.
with him tonight.
We
had to put up with his wife and his daughter. Like, I'm sorry, like they can't even really act that well. Like, at least we can see Dom's like somewhat improving. Like, I have to give him credit in terms of his promos. His promo's pretty good. Match was terrible, but promo was actually pretty good this week on Raw and SmackDown. Like, he's showing a lot more like facials in terms of like his promos, like his emotions. Like, it's still not the best, but you could tell there's a lot of work there. Where his wife and daughter, like, it's just not there. Like, if she was supposed to be an actress, like, yeah, I can see why that didn't work out. She had nothing, like, absolutely blank face, no reaction whatsoever when like Dom was in his face or in her face.
Aaliyah?
Yeah.
Don't say bad things about Aaliyah now. Come on. What you gotta do?
I'm sorry if you and Buddy Matthews have the same like tastes and all that, but I'm sorry, she wasn't great.
Take it easy. That's Ray's daughter you're talking about. Show some respect. LA Knight
shoves it down our throats too much.
How dare you? LA Knight beat Rey Mysterio tonight after a distraction from Dominic, and then Dominic got on the mic afterwards and asked for a WrestleMania match with Rey and pushed Rey around. Rey didn't want to do it. He leaves again. But Dominic's mom and sister were in the front row, so Dominic goes to them, and he says, "Hey, Mom, how does it feel to be married to such a pathetic loser? And did you know that you married a deadbeat? And of course you know you married a deadbeat because you sat there every night while he abandoned me, which makes you a deadbeat mom." But, like, she was there for you, Dominic, right? Like, she's not a deadbeat mom. She was the one taking care of you all the time while your father was away. She's actually a hero for raising you and your sister basically on her own. Anyhow, Aaliyah then got in Dominic's face and was like, "Hey, don't say that to Mom." And Dominic's like, "Sit down. You're too stupid to understand any of this." Dominic was good here. I thought Dominic was good with his mom. And then the mom took the mic.
Dom was good.
The mom took the mic, and then Dominic just yanked it away from her, like, hard. And he's like, "Shut up, Mom."
She didn't say anything, yeah.
No, she said nothing, but Dominic's like, "Shut up." I like Dominic tonight. I think I'm starting to become a Dominic fan. I don't know. His promos are funny to me. And then Ray comes back and he punches Dominic because he's like, "Don't disrespect your mother. That's my wife, man. You pushed me to this. It's WrestleMania time. We're going to have a match." So the match is official. And it took Dominic being really mean to Ray's wife, which he has been on several occasions in the past, right?
Yeah, well, I guess this one just finally pushed him over the limit. I think we kind of said it too, like it was going to have to take like family members or something. He's going to have to do something a little more, and that's all it took, really. It was just one little extra push. And that's it. I mean, I don't think they really had anything else in terms of getting this together, so I'm fearful for this match. I don't know if it's going to be that good, to be honest. Like, I think it'll be okay at best, but I don't know. Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero WrestleMania, it was good, but far from what you expected. I think the expectations were way too high, and I fear that they're going to put the expectations too high for this as well, where they think, well, this should be Dom's coming out party kind of thing. This should be like the match of his life, and I just don't know if he has it in him right now to have that kind of match.
I think Ray's gonna try. Ray's gonna try.
The style, though, like it just Ray's a different style compared to his son, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't think the match will be good. I think Dominic will probably win, and then maybe Ray will retire, though.
You know what? I'm thinking Ray might not retire. One, because I think WWE needs to keep Ray going because they lack star power. And this is just something to have. And, like, in terms of the Hall of Fame, it was just, they didn't have anybody else. So they needed Ray. I think that's the way this kind of worked out. And they have Hall of Famers still going. Lita's wrestling, right? Edge is wrestling.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame doesn't mean you have to retire.
You're not wrong about that. I could see Ray continuing too. Dominic beat Johnny Gargano this week on Raw.
Ugh.
It looked like the junior squad wrestling. Like it was. I was watching this thinking, like, come on, man. If this was on in 1992, it would be laughed out of the building. You know? Like, could you imagine Hacksaw Jim Duggan coming to wrestle one of these guys? He'd squash him like a bug. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. What is this?
I don't know what it was, but Dom, to me, like, looked very anorexic. Like, he looks so skinny in this match.
Tiny.
I mean, and Gargano's small too, but Gargano looked bigger than Dom. Like,
I don't
didn't
know,
look
man. Gargano doesn't look great either.
Yeah, but do you see Dom's arms? I don't know what it is, but his arms are like shrinking.
He's got no definition.
Like, he's got like spaghetti like arms. Like, he bumps okay. I found he got blown up pretty quick though, and like his selling kind of went out the window on that one. It was just more of him just trying to get through the huffing and puffing. And I think Gargano was too fast of a style for him, which makes me fearful. Where it's like, well, his dad is like super fast in terms of style. Like, I don't know if he can wrestle that kind of style. Like, they're gonna try. I just don't know if it's gonna work out very well. You know, the problem is too, he wears that suit. I think that suit blows him up way too much as well because it's way too hot in that suit, probably. But you got to hide the fact that he has no like definition whatsoever. It'd be worse if he didn't wear that little getup he has.
Yup. I'm surprised they don't cover up his arms too with his lame tattoos. Ugh.
This is the
Cornette's Extreme.
That's hilarious.
No, it's not. Definitely not.
I think he likes Dom, to be honest.
He might. I don't know. I mean, I find him amusing, but goddamn, Johnny Gargano and Dominic Mysterio, that match was just.
I guess it's because
like I'm not saying everybody needs to be gigantic in wrestling, you know, but when you have two guys like that wrestling each other, it's like oof, it's too much of the same small, you know. Yeah. Like put a small against a big. Don't give me two smalls, especially two smalls that just don't do much. You know? Like, there's not much there with these two small guys.
Yeah.
You know? Like...
And it was bad, too, because Gargano was selling, like, he was doing that whole thing, because he got beat up, I think, by, what's his name, Grayson Waller. So he was, like, fighting from underneath the whole match, and it's like, he can't do as much, but he was still faster than Dom was. With his like hurt ribs, and he's trying to go slow. It just wasn't the right match to do for Dom. I don't know why they did. I guess they felt like he needed to get a win. That was another thing too, which I didn't really like a lot, was the fact that you had a bunch of heels go over super clean. Like none of them could cheat. Like Austin Theory won the debut match, didn't cheat at all against Montez Ford, just beat him clean. Like can't heels cheat anymore? Like, I get, don't do the outside interference stuff all the time, but there's other ways to cheat.
Yeah.
None of them cheat.
But a lot of these guys you're talking about, like Austin Theory and even Omos, who got a clean win, and Dominic, they're so... Like, they're such underdogs in their matches at Mania, you kind of have to give them clean wins to make people believe in them. Because, you know... Omos is going up against Brock. You're kind of like, Brock should. Even Theory's going up against Cena, you know, and Dominic's going up against his dad, who's a legend, and Dominic is just a jabroni at this point. So I know what you're saying, but maybe they felt they had to build these guys up, make them look like stars going into Mania. No, don't do it.
I actually like Gargano. Like, I think Gargano's pretty good. Like, I just thought the style match wasn't good for him to wrestle Dom. And, like, for him to lose to Dom clean like that, I thought that kind of sucked for him. They were building him up a bit. And for him just to lose Dom, who doesn't even cheat to beat him, I thought was ridiculous. If you're a heel, get heat. Like, if you just win clean like that, it makes you look too strong. I thought with Theory, like, that match with Montez was, like, so competitive. They had a double down and everything. It was, like, a great back and forth match. But then he just beats him clean. Like, there's no big conflict at the end, really. Like, that you should have done a little thing where he got a little bit of an edge because like maybe he just raked an eye or something, just a little thing to give him a little win like off that. Like they could have done that because he's a heel. That's how he'll beat Cena. Like it'll be a tough match, but he kind of does little sneaky tricks, and that's how he wins matches. But no, he just beats Montez because he can just beat him.
I think he's gonna beat Cena. He might even squash Cena.
I wish, but his first match, it can't be a squash. His first match.
Shock everybody.
It should have been a squash.
Put everybody on edge. Yeah, like, oh, what the hell?
It's first match, though. First match, they're going to do enough back and forth. Cena's got to get some offense. It might be short. It might not be long, but Cena's going to get some offense in, though.
I don't think Theory needs to cheat to win against Cena. I think he could just beat him.
That'd be nice. I definitely expect some cheating. I wouldn't be surprised to hit him with a title belt or something. Or
the best way to do it is to put him over clean. It would help him so much.
They protect Cena a lot, though, and I think the first match is a huge sign of them protecting him.
At a certain point, you got to figure out what you're doing. What are you going to do here? What's more important, protecting 45-year-old John Cena or building 26-year-old Austin Theory? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't serve both purposes.
Right? No, I get. Well, they're going to try to do both. They love doing that 50-50 stuff. So
yeah, but Cena's not around. Cena even said it. He's like, I'm not going to be there Monday night. You're going to be there. He said it in the promo, the one promo that he's done. We won't see Cena again until Mania either. That was it. He's not going to be there next week. He's not going to be on Raw or SmackDown.
And yeah, he's getting the title shot.
Yeah, but it's a U.S. title shot. It doesn't really matter. Nobody else seems interested in it.
It's a big deal. They could have made it a big deal.
Nobody else wants that belt. Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley are like, yeah, whatever. Been there, done that. Nobody's interested.
That Seth stuff was pretty funny this week. I'm sure you caught that.
Which, the Logan Paul promo?
When he did that dive, and it's like, what are you doing? He almost killed himself in that dive. Like, he put Logan Paul, like, on the table.
Yeah.
And then Paul moved out of the way. And then he just jumps onto people. And then he almost, like, went head first, like, into the ground. Because I don't know if he overshot or people didn't catch him right. It didn't look right.
When he dove on those two security guards you're talking about at the end of the segment.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked rough. Is he all right?
Well, explain to me, like, well, I think he was okay, but it looked like that was kind of close, actually. And I think he was kind of upset because I don't know if he slapped one of the security guards or something, but he seemed mad about it. But, like, it didn't make any sense. Like, you put the guy on the table, and he moves away, and then you just jump onto people? Like,
didn't make any sense to me either.
What the hell was that?
I don't know. But Seth Rollins doesn't make any sense. I thought Logan Paul was really good, though. He was great. His promo's fantastic.
It was good. It just went too long, though. I felt like he had it, and then it just kind of dragged a bit, and then he went to the package and all that, and it was like, okay, this is kind of dragging, and we don't really need this. But he had some good points there. And
he had some really good points, man. He was good. He's like, I don't need to be here. I'm a millionaire. I do this because I love it, but the fans don't love me. And it's like, fans are booing him. He doesn't need to be there. He is a megastar. He says only two people that love him there are his dad, and there's a kid in the front row with a drink prime sign, his drink.
And he gave him the drink, too. That was nice.
Yeah, he gave him the drink that he walked out with, which was cool.
Yeah.
Logan says the dorks don't understand the talent in front of them, and no matter how many of their favorite superstars get beat, he still won't get the respect of the fans. He's a 360-degree entertainer, and that's why he didn't need a guest tonight for his impulsive TV show. He's the guest. And his celebrity friends didn't want to come to St. Louis anyways, because they'd be out of there quicker than the St. Louis Rams. And Logan says he looks forward to joining them in L.A. when he challenges Seth Rollins to a WrestleMania match. So getting heat with the local fans, talking about how big of a star he is, and really cutting a high-level promo on Raw. in the middle of the ring with a microphone. Not many of their contracted talents can do that. But Logan Paul can. This was really good from Logan Paul. And you know what? It went downhill when Seth Rollins got involved. When one of their top stars got involved, the whole segment went to shit. Right?
When he came on the screen?
I mean, as soon as Seth showed up, everything kind of went downhill. Logan was doing well. He talked about Seth and his name, and it's hard to be mad at a guy named Seth. Like, it did kind of drag for a while.
Yeah.
And then he showed replays of him knocking Seth out, and he was laughing. And then his mic cut off, and Seth Rollins is in the truck controlling the mics. And then he plays his theme song, and he goes and he does the brawl with Logan Paul where he's jumping on security guards for no reason. And then Logan, at the end of it, punches Seth in the face and knocks him out again. So that was the close to that. But Seth's promos compared to Logan's promos, I mean, come on. Who's the wrestler here?
Well, I mean, it's obvious who the wrestler is, but Logan Paul, I think, is just kind of proving himself in the sense where it's like he might not be the established brand, but he knows how to talk, he knows what to do in a sense, and like doesn't matter that he hasn't been wrestling for years and all this, like he gets it. He's still an athlete, and he can still do everything that a lot of Seth can do. So like he's on par with it, and like I don't think a lot of what he did was like a scripted promo. I think they gave him a guideline, but I think he's comfortable saying what he can say, like, because I think he felt a lot of what he said. So a lot of what he was able to put out there, he felt. So it felt genuine, unlike a lot of the promos, which just feel like, it's just verbiage that just spit out from paper.
Yep. Felt like him. Felt good. He got through it, had some good points. Solid stuff from Logan Paul, and he can wrestle in the ring, too. He's a talented guy. Love him or hate him, he's a talented guy. I don't know how talented Omos is. I think he's just big. He beat Mustafa Ali with a choke bomb in a squash. They showed Dolph Ziggler watching on the TV backstage because him and Mustafa have some sort of thing that no one cares about. MVP cut a promo after the match about Brock Lesnar and the match at WrestleMania and all that. Omos and Brock, they're going to weigh in on Monday night. I hope that it's a legit weigh-in because I'd like to know how much they weigh for real. I don't want a pro wrestling weigh-in. I want a real weigh-in. Right? Don't you want to know what they're really walking around at right now? Like, how big is Omos for real? Give me a legit scale. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but it's WWE. They don't give you real weights. They'll give you what they want you to believe their weight is. That's it.
But their legit weight is super impressive. You're like, if Omos weighs 380 pounds, which he probably weighs close to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Omos is over 350, right?
Probably, yeah.
That's gigantic. Imagine being 300 pounds. Brock is over 250, right? He's probably 260.
I think he's like 260, yeah. Well, they put him at 286.
Yeah, okay, so say he's not 286. Say he's 266. Is that less impressive? Like, does the number really matter? Does Omos have to be 400 pounds? Are we still there? I think that the real weight is impressive because they're clearly gigantic. They're clearly bigger than everybody else. Just tell us what they weigh. I don't know. I want to know. I'm just curious. How big is Omos for real? What does he actually weigh? I don't want a gimmick weight, but that's probably what we'll get. Yeah.
It's not going to be a highlight next week.
No. Neither will Miz TV with Trish, Lita, and Becky. I don't even understand why that's happening.
Just an excuse to get them on TV and have another brawl with Damage Control. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Just a different way of doing that.
So, Rhea Ripley Speaking of damage
Oh,
control.
here we go.
Right? Rhea Ripley cuts an in-ring promo on Raw this week. She says, Charlotte doesn't respect me, and Charlotte can't be a leader because she doesn't respect anyone, and she holds everyone down. Okay? Firing shots.
Okay.
Getting a little shooty. Right? She says Charlotte is washed. She's washed up. And that she's going to beat Charlotte at WrestleMania, and she might not respect her, but she will fear her. Interesting promo from Rhea Ripley, who came out alone for the first time without Dominic Mysterio. Which was interesting, right? She's always been with Dominic. Now, all of a sudden, she's not. And then, sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You say?
Well, this is what we're talking about, the whole scripted promo stuff. Like, this felt like super scripted. Like, she's just reading verbiage off, like, a piece of paper. I don't think she meant any of the words she actually said. She was just memorizing words that she was told to say.
Yeah.
Like, there was no true feeling to any of this. It's just all say a bunch of these buzzwords, and that's it. And I felt the crowd didn't believe in a lot of what she was saying. However, they reacted to her afterwards because Bayley came out, and they don't like Bayley.
Yeah, Bayley's a bigger heel than Rhea Ripley, and I guess Rhea Ripley is no longer a heel. I don't really understand what they're trying to do with Rhea Ripley, but this promo, I mean, they had some solid points for her, I guess, but it just, when she's like, and I will be the biggest star in WWE history, it's like, I don't believe you. Not with a promo like that, Rhea. You got to step that shit up. The promo was not delivered well. You are correct on that. I did not love the delivery. And then Damage Control came out, and Bayley's like, hey, we respect you, Rhea, and I could give you some tips on how to beat Charlotte. And Rhea's like, I don't need your help. So Bayley's like, fine. I thought you might say that, and, you know, this is actually our show, Rhea, and you're walking around like it's your show, but it's our show, and you're feeling all proud of yourself lately. I'm here to teach you a lesson. And then we have a match, which ends with Rhea Ripley beating Bayley after the Riptide. Dakota Kai rakes the eyes of Rhea while the ref's back was turned, which prompted Trish, Becky, and Lita to come to the ring. Dakota distracted Rhea later on when Bayley spilled out of the ring. Trish and Lita took out Dakota and Io, and then Becky started walking Bayley back into the ring. Bayley kind of backing up, backing away from Becky Lynch. Bayley goes back into the ring to escape Becky, gets hit with the Riptide, 1, 2, 3, and loses to Rhea. But it did feel like a shift, right, with Rhea Ripley this week? Like a character shift?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. One, I think they didn't have anyone else in terms of star power that she could beat right before WrestleMania. Because in terms of big names in the women's division, who is there for her to wrestle that she can beat? There's not really many top faces when you think about it. Like, she can't beat Asuka. Like, she can't beat Becky, right? I mean, she could, but I don't think they're going to give it to her, you know?
No.
Bayley was really the only big name in the sense they could give her. And, you know, sadly, she's a heel, and she's a bigger heel than Rhea is, so it came off kind of awkward. And I don't know about you, the match came off kind of awkward too. I don't know what their signals were in their match, but they were not on the same page on this one. Like, I don't know who was to blame on this, but I think both of them just seemed like they didn't know what they were doing, and it showed, sadly.
I would have put Rhea in there against Candice LeRae or Nikki Cross or something, like a lower level babyface. Huh?
Yeah, but it's too low. It's too low. You got, if you're gonna go for the title, she's got to beat someone of note.
Does she? She won the Royal Rumble. This doesn't matter.
No, but it's like Cody. You know, Cody's got to beat like Solo, right? Like, he's got to beat someone who's got something going for him.
He beat Ludwig Kaiser this week on SmackDown.
Yeah, well, that's like beating Nikki Cross. It's not much.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, Rhea needed an actual name. You know, like, if she's gonna face Charlotte, like the greatest of all time, like, she's got to beat someone who's defeated Charlotte at WrestleMania.
Well, it seemed like a character shift because she's in the Judgment Day. She hangs around with Dominic Mysterio. She's been a heel for months. Then this week, all of a sudden, they put Bayley up against her, and they're trying to turn her babyface. When, I don't know about you, but I'm a bigger Charlotte Flair fan than I am a Rhea Ripley fan. And I feel like Charlotte Flair gets a lot of love when she comes out. People love the Queen. Whether she presents as a heel or a babyface, when Charlotte comes out, she gets a big pop because she's the biggest star in the business. Number one. The number one attraction in professional wrestling. Today. The Queen Charlotte
promo
Flair.
This week. Like, I don't know if there was a lot of love in that promo this week.
Why not?
She seemed very upset. She seemed very upset when people are saying what at her.
Yeah, well, I don't know why they were doing that. They're disrespecting the Queen, which they should never do. She comes out, she says, I don't fear Rhea Ripley. I respect Rhea Ripley. This business isn't built on fear. It's built on respect. I respected Nikki and Brie. And then she takes a pause. And that was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Nikki and Brie. Right off the top, Nikki and Brie, who are now known as the Garcia twins, who are not the Bella twins anymore because they've completely cut all ties with WWE. Charlotte Flair, the queen of professional wrestling, comes out in her promo on Fox TV at 8:30 at night and says, I respected Nikki and Brie. I respected Sasha. Immediately after Nikki and Brie, she says, Sasha. I was like, whoa. Charlotte, let's go. I respected Bayley, Becky, Trish, Ronda, Asuka, Natty. And she's beat them all.
Yeah,
I thought
she
that
has, yeah.
just the list that she went down to say those names on SmackDown. I liked it.
Well, it's part of her history, so why not? Like,
yeah, but you know, Sasha Banks.
It's a huge part. You can't like write the Charlotte Flair history without Sasha. That's a huge chunk of her history right there. It's like almost a year of just them wrestling each other.
Nikki and Brie.
Well, that was her first title. Like when she won the Divas title, didn't she beat Nikki? I think.
Yes. Okay. Did she?
Surprised she didn't say Paige.
She didn't say Paige. She didn't say Naomi.
Nope. Who also just apparently got released.
Officially. Charlotte says she's got insecurities, but that's okay because she has built this house with every brick thrown her way, and diamonds are forever. Woo! And so is Charlotte Flair.
She didn't do the dance or the Four Horsemen thing, but okay.
That was just me.
It was just you, yeah. Liberties.
Gotta love the Nate. God damn. She's just like him. She's better than him. In a lot of ways.
In some ways. I don't know in every way.
Not in every way. She's not as good of a promo. She's more athletic, though. She's got a better look.
More athletic, without question. Better look.
Looks more impressive.
Well, Flair in his prime, though.
Oh, he did look cool. He carried himself like a goddamn champ. She carries herself like he did, though. Not many people carry themselves like fucking champions. But Charlotte Flair is a champion.
It might be a tie in terms of the look, I think, in terms of their prime.
I don't know. I think Charlotte's prettier than Ric Flair ever was. It's just my personal preference.
The thing is, Rick,
although
he inspired so many wrestlers that look, just on the look alone, so.
Yeah. She's great. She's so goddamn good. I thought she did everything she needed to do tonight. And I'd like to see her beat Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, although I don't think she will. Because Charlotte Flair, she wins a lot of titles, which means she loses a lot of titles.
Well, yeah, I think she just won this title to lose it back. Like that's her thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And the match will be tremendous. It'll probably steal the show. And it should main event night 1.
Well, I mean, we got the tag team match. A tag team match, I think, might steal the show, but wait and see.
Do you remember Charlotte Rhea the first time? It stole the show as far as I remember.
Sure.
The first time they wrestled that night of WrestleMania was the best match, and maybe all weekend they had the best match.
Maybe it was definitely a contender. I mean, it's been so long. That was like in 2020, right?
Yeah.
3 years ago now to this day, almost practically.
Yeah, the empty arena WrestleMania.
That was our first pandemic show, like big pay-per-view. Yeah. So yeah. So crazy times back then, but I remember it was up there. I remember it was one of my favorite matches I saw. So, I mean, if they can, but it'll be different though, because like it's a different Rhea coming into this kind of match, different Charlotte coming into this match. So you never know when you get that kind of thing. It's like Rock and Austin. I don't think it was the same thing in 15 and 17.
Yeah, but Austin wasn't the same.
No. I mean, they had to deal with all that, but they did a good job. And we'll wait and see. Sometimes matches get better, sometimes they don't. Wait and see.
You see Lacey Evans' boob tonight, John.
I saw almost way too much in terms of like her underwear was kind of like moved to the side too much. I don't know if you caught that one. I caught that.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Okay, well, your eyes are different than mine, I guess.
Her outfit wasn't working so good. Her boob, I think, fell out. Looked like it was just popping out there. I'm pretty sure I saw something. I don't know. She was having trouble with her outfit. She tagged out real quick.
Okay. Well, it's possible, but the screen never went dark for that. Usually that's what happens when there's a problem like that.
Yeah.
But on the dive, it felt like her shorts, there was a movement on the shorts there. Saw maybe a little too much, or maybe the shorts are just way too small. I don't know.
Lacey and Xia Li resurfaced tonight. Where have they been? They showed up to lose to Shotzi and Natty, who qualified for the WrestleMania 4-way match. Yeah.
It's too bad. Like, I think there's a lot of potential with Lacey and Xia. I don't know why they're like the lowest of the lows in SmackDown Women's Division, but they are. But that's kind of really too. I would have added them as a team instead of Natty and Shotzi. No offense to Natty, but like I don't think her and Shotzi as a team is really that great.
You got to put Natty in there though. It's Natty. You should have been Natty and Lacey.
Yeah. Well, the problem is the alignment because she's a heel, so that's the problem.
So what? Is Natty a heel?
I believe she's a face because she's going against Ronda, right?
Yeah, but I mean, come on. I don't know. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are in that match. Natty and Shotzi, and now Ronda and Shayna. Ronda and Shayna didn't have to qualify. They just showed up after this match and cut a promo and says that they say they're in the match. And Ronda was like, oh, maybe we'll go beat up Liv and Raquel. But no, because they were in Vegas. And Ronda's like, how many times, Shayna, have we sold out this arena, this entire town? And how much do they appreciate us? And they're booing, Ronda. Ronda says, I've given Vegas more than they deserve, and they're not going to get anything tonight. And Shayna's like, yeah, we're in the WrestleMania match, and then they leave. I like that Ronda is saying, I've given Vegas more than they deserve, and they're getting nothing from me tonight. And she's not wrong one bit. Not at all.
Well, I don't know about you. I think they wanted to be Chelsea Green and Carmella as the other team, but I think there's a bit of concern if Carmella is going to be healthy enough. So I don't know if she's not ready for WrestleMania, they might give it to Piper Niven because it feels like Chelsea Green and Piper Niven are our team now, possibly.
Didn't they have a match? Did they
have
a match?
Yes. Well, they had a match on Raw where it was Bianca and Asuka against Chelsea and Piper Niven. That was a match that happened on Raw. Sadly.
Yeah. Why did that happen? And that was awkward as hell, too. The Bianca-Asuka build has been awful. one of the worst builds to any of these WrestleMania matches, right? Bianca
Did they
hit
turn
the,
Asuka heel?
I think so. Bianca hit the KOD on Piper, which was pretty impressive to get the win. And then Asuka just kind of attacked Bianca after the match. Bianca and Asuka kind of argued a bit during the match, but nothing really physical happened. And Asuka just decides to attack Bianca. She used to just kind of spit out blue liquid and laugh and help Bianca when she was getting attacked by heels. Now she teams with Bianca. They win. They have a bit of a disagreement during the match, but nothing physical happens. And after the match, Asuka deciding out of nowhere to attack Bianca Belair. This is the time she decides, all right, it's time to attack her. The Mania match is in a couple weeks now. Let's go. None of this has made any sense. It's been awful. Thankfully, the match itself will be good, so it'll maybe save it, but although sometimes I watch Bianca Belair work and I go, will the match be good? Because she had Piper Niven in the corner there at one point. She's doing the 10 punches in the corner. Piper leaves, and Bianca kept punching the corner. What's she doing?
Yeah, there was that moment. There's also a moment, too, where I think they're just waiting for Piper to come to her, and like Piper was very slow, and it just looked really bad. Like it felt like everything was in slow motion, but it wasn't slow motion. Again, things just kind of looked off. I don't know what it is. Like, do they just have planned stuff and they don't really like go through like in terms of like we'll just call it, I guess, like if things don't go right. And if they have the plan, they have to go through the plan, and if the plan doesn't work, well, we'll just backtrack into the plan again. That's what it feels like what they do with their matches. And it just comes off as very awkward when that happens. You can see it doesn't look good.
Well, when you have it all planned out, like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, right? But then you mess up step 2. Well, you have to go back because you don't know how to get to step 3 unless you do step 2 properly. And some of these people are so green that that's how they're wrestling. It's wrestling by numbers, you know? And if they miss a number, they got to restart. You see it all the time.
It's the problem with the way they're trained. Like, you know, people can give a lot of credit to Shawn Michaels and like, he's a good wrestler and all that, but in terms of like if they're training them like that, that's a bad way of training people because like as you can see, if you go by the numbers, it's like a domino effect. If one falls, then everything falls apart. So it's not a good idea to do that. Like it's all right to have an idea, but you also have to be able to go with the flow in a sense. Like, be understanding that things might go awry and you have to kind of work with that.
Yep. But that's not how wrestling matches are built these days, as far as I understand it. They're doing a lot of this planning in the back, right? I mean, you're wrestling. How's it work? I mean, you don't call too much in the ring, right? A lot of the stuff you plan out in the back. Not to expose too much here, John, but
well, it's depends who you wrestle. If you wrestle someone who doesn't have a lot of experience, then yeah, maybe you want to call more stuff. But say if it's someone you wrestled before, maybe you just have an idea of what you're going to do in terms of the ending, but that's about it.
Yeah. So what you're saying is the more experience you have, the better you are at wrestling, the less you have to plan before the match, and the more you can kind of go in there and be like, all right, let's do this now, and you guys know what you're doing. But not everybody has that level of experience, and that's why you see some things. And unfortunately,
and some people
these days,
some people too. Sorry, just to cut you off, but some people too, like even if they've wrestled each other a couple of times, just they've gotten into that pattern of that's what they do. Like, oh, we have to do it A to Z. So that's just because it's the only way they've done it. So it doesn't matter if they've wrestled each other like 10 times. Like we always do A to Z, so we're doing A to Z all the time.
Yeah, but that's again a lack of experience, right? It's a lack of experience with other people. It's a lack of experience overall in wrestling. And unfortunately, a lot of the people you see on TV now are just not that experienced. It's the nature of the beast.
Because a lot of them, they aren't getting like, people that wrestle anymore. Now it's just, people they've trained to be wrestlers.
Yep. And they stay in that system, and they're only in that system, and they don't really know what it's like outside of the system. Like Bianca Belair is not a Cody Rhodes style professional wrestler. You know what I mean? She's a WWE sports entertainer, and she's very good at that. But she didn't know about wrestling before WWE. She didn't watch wrestling really before WWE. She got signed to train to learn how to be a wrestler. Like, they're paying her to learn how to wrestle. And then they brought her up and made her into a star and all this. But it's different than a lot of wrestlers who kind of, have to wrestle and then they get signed to WWE, but they already know how to wrestle, Not a lot of these people, like, it's different nowadays, but wrestlers used to have to become really good wrestlers, and then they got to be in WWE. Now they just kind of sign you, and then they make you a wrestler. And that's what they've done with Bianca and a lot of people, and they've had success with that. But there are some holes in doing that, right? As far as, there's some kind of, there's a hole in the game of certain wrestlers. But then again, you can have some of the most experienced wrestlers of all time, John, doing absolute garbage, like Edge and that crappy promo he cut on Raw. I mean.
Well, to be fair, I mean, that's what he's told to say, that's what they want him to
dog
do.
Shit. It was horrible.
Because they want to make this about, it's going to be, I guess, I'm guessing it's Brood, like, Edge against, like, the Demon. That's what they're trying to play out, right? So, that's what we're getting. I'm not saying I like it, but
thinking about it makes me fall asleep. I'm just like,
but
Finn Balor and
again,
Edge, so boring.
Again, like, it might not be a great story, but the match, I think, could be fantastic. That's another potential show stealer. Edge, Finn Balor, and Hell in a Cell. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be amazing. But goddamn, the build here, too. Whew. Stinky.
Well, the problem is it's over. It's overdone. Like, Elimination Chamber was good. It should have been over there. Like, that should have been WrestleMania.
Yep. But we're gonna get it here at WrestleMania again. Gunther beat Butch tonight after a contract signing with Drew and Sheamus. And that match, I mean, you talk about show stealers. Drew, Sheamus, and Gunther next week. Whew. That'll be awesome.
Which night, though? Is it night 1 or night 2? I'm going to guess it's probably night 2. If the U.S. title is the first night, they probably make the IC the second night.
We don't know. All we know is that night 1 will be opened by Austin Theory versus John Cena for the U.S. title, and Seth Rollins and Logan Paul will be wrestling on that night as well. We assume Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley will main event night 1, but we don't know for sure. And we also assume Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will be on night 1, but maybe not. Maybe not, right?
Well, you never know, but I think the tag titles, night 1 makes sense.
Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes will main event night 2, of course, for the WWE Universal Undisputed Belts. Charlotte Flair against Rhea Ripley for the SmackDown title. Bianca Belair versus Asuka for the Raw title.
Didn't they say Brock? I think Brock is night 1 as well.
Okay, that makes sense. Brock and Omos, 1-on-1. Gunther versus Drew versus Sheamus for the Intercontinental title in a triple threat. Trish, Lita, and Becky Lynch against Bayley, Dakota, and Io. Edge versus Finn Balor in the Hell in a Cell. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Natty and Shotzi, and Ronda and Shayna versus one more team in that Women's WrestleMania Showcase Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. Who's the fourth team going to be? Chelsea and Piper, you think?
Or Chelsea and Carmella.
How come Chelsea ditched Carmella? Carmella wasn't on the show?
Some sort of health issue or something.
Braun Strowman and Rick O'Shea versus the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders versus Gable and Otis. Otis is with Gable, but he keeps getting distracted by the models and Maxine, so I don't know. Usos defending the tag team titles against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and Ray versus Dominic in a father versus son match. Have we ever had a father versus son one-on-one at WrestleMania? Is this the first?
I mean, Vince and Shane.
Did they do a Mania match against each other?
Yeah. It was WrestleMania 17, I think.
Yeah. Huh. Vince and Shane, baby. Vince and Shane. No Shane at WrestleMania this year. I guess Shane will never wrestle at Mania again. He's been completely ostracized from WWE.
It's too bad.
Excommunicated. Yeah. He's always good for a big bump. All right, so we're a week away from WrestleMania, John. We've got Andy Kaufman inducted into the Hall of Fame next week. That'll be big. And, of course, WrestleMania and all the stuff. Brock and Omos with the weigh-in on Raw. And we'll have SmackDown, WrestleMania SmackDown next Friday as well. We'll be on here next Friday after next Friday after WrestleMania SmackDown to preview WrestleMania. We'll do the full WrestleMania rundown preview next Friday night here on Wrestling Uncensored. Let's jump into a little AEW talk. And I do want to talk about El Hijo del Vikingo and Kenny Omega, which was mind-blowing, right? Everybody's like loving it. And I loved it. Maybe you didn't love it? Did you not love it? You loved it.
I thought it was definitely like a spectacle. Like it was something to watch, something really that stood out. And I think it lived up to the hype that they built. It said it was a dream match. I think it definitely lived up to what I think a lot of people wanted to see.
Yeah, it wasn't a dream match in the sense that there was a feud with these two guys that you knew about, that there was a lot of promos back and forth. You know what I mean? It wasn't a dream match in the sense of these are two gigantic stars and you can't wait to see what happens when they wrestle. Because most people that watch AEW, I don't think are watching AAA where El Hijo del Vikingo wrestles. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, people were all saying, oh, well, this isn't a dream match. And yeah, I don't think it's a dream match. For me, it wasn't a dream match, you know, because to me, if you say dream match, you think of matches between two stars that you know about that you would like to see wrestle, you know? But I don't know about El Hijo del Vikingo. I think for a lot of people, that was the first time they'd ever seen him wrestle. I never seen this guy before. I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't know anything about him. I heard the name. That was about it. So, dream match, like I get why people are like, this is not a dream match. But again, if they're saying, yo, this is a dream match, it's going to be awesome, I'll take their word for it. Because Kenny Omega, in a main event, in a singles match, chances are it's going to be good. And if they have high expectations for their opponent, then I believe them. Like, I had no problem with the build to this match. People were really upset about it, right? But I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm not like going crazy, excited about this match, but I was looking forward to it because it was a new wrestler that I'd never seen before that had a lot of hype. And guess what? He lived up to the hype. So people complain a lot before the match. After the match, haven't seen much complaints.
Right. Well, we had talked about this last week. Like, I knew that this match was supposed to happen a couple of years ago, and it didn't happen because Kenny was hurt, so he had to forfeit the AAA title, so the match couldn't happen. But now we finally got it. And he was still AAA champion, too, which is kind of interesting. They came out with the title. So I was like, wow, like they're going to have him lose in this match. But he looked fantastic in it, so I guess if you're going to lose, it's all right. And plus, they've already booked him for the ROH pay-per-view. So I think there's a little bit of that as well. Like, if you're losing, we're still going to showcase you and put you in a big pay-per-view match anyways. So I think that was to maybe appease AAA having their champion lose. I was very surprised by that. That was the biggest surprise. Like, AAA allowed their champion to come on like a national television show and lose in the main event. But, given the circumstances, it kind of made sense.
I wonder how many AAA fans also watch AEW. Like,
probably quite a few.
Yeah?
Because there's crossover. Sammy Guevara was their champion for a while. Mixed tag champ with Ty Mello.
Okay. Okay.
Andrade was wrestling there too.
I don't think it hurts you to lose to Kenny Omega, though, in AEW.
Well, that's it. There's a relationship there. They don't mind Kenny, so it's not too bad. Plus, they're going to have him on the ROH Supercard, I think, next week.
Yeah.
He's wrestling. I think he's defending the title against Commander, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Which is going to be crazy. Like, now that I've seen El Hijo del Vikingo, and I've also seen Commander on AEW TV, I've seen them once, but I'm like, man, these guys are really good. And now they're telling me that they're going to be wrestling on that Ring of Honor show. I'm like, I think I want to see that Ring of Honor show. Because of that. That's how good Vikingo's performance was. I was like, damn, this guy's good. I'm a fan now. He made me a fan. Some of the shit he was pulling off, man. Like, I haven't seen a guy like that in a long time. Where the first time you see him, you go, how is he doing all of this stuff? How is he doing all of this? Some of these moves I have not seen before. It was almost like the first time I saw Rey Mysterio in WCW.
Wow.
When I saw Rey Mysterio, I was like, what the hell is this? Not the same level, though. Like, Vikingo's doing stuff where I'm like, yeah, I understand what he's doing with his body. I can't do it. It's amazing that he is doing it. It's incredible. But I kind of understand what's happening. With Rey, the first time I saw Rey, I was like, how does a human move that way? That doesn't seem possible. You know, like the jump, the vertical leap that he had and stuff. Like, Rey as an athlete was something else, too. You know, like, Vikingo's a hell of an athlete, and he can bump like crazy, and he's got flips and spins and everything.
His neck, though. I was worried about his neck a couple times. The reverse Rana, I felt like he landed right on his head.
From the top, right?
It was, yeah.
Ugh. Nasty.
And also hit the back of his head when he did the 630 to the outside to the table.
But, man, it worked, right? Match was great.
It was good, but, man, I'm sure they were beat. I'm sure Kenny was beat up because that looked like that killed them, that match.
Kenny wins with the one-winged angel. Shivani goes to interview Kenny after the match. The Blackpool Combat Club attacked Kenny. And then an ambulance siren is heard. Earlier in the night, the Young Bucks had been attacked by someone. We're not sure who, although Brandon Cutler saying it was the Blackpool Combat Club, which does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but it's too obvious, though.
I guess. Maybe it is. So Hangman goes in the ambulance with the Bucks earlier. Then when Kenny's getting attacked, an ambulance siren is heard, and it is Hangman who has stolen an ambulance and has some sort of black piece of wood, I guess. I don't know what the hell that gimmick he had with him. He had some sort of weapon. And the Blackpool Combat Club waits a very long time for Hangman to show up. Like, they are in the ring for what felt like an eternity waiting for Hangman to get to the ring. Waiting for his music to hit, you know?
The old
Hangman
music.
What?
It was the old music. It was back to the old Hangman music. It's not the other one, the Riders in the Sky one, I think.
Yeah, I like the new the classic Hangman theme. I think it's good they went back to it. Hangman showed up and they cleared the ring. The Blackpool guys, they all leave. And then Don Callis is there with Kenny, and he shows up behind Hangman while Kenny is selling the beating. And Hangman almost hits him because he doesn't know who it is. You know, Callis kind of surprises him, and Hangman's like, and then he doesn't hit him because it's Don Callis. So you see here, he doesn't want to hit Don Callis in any way. Then Don grabs Hangman's arm as Hangman is kind of staring down Moxley and his friends, right? And he kind of grabs Hangman's arm and then falls down. And Kenny is selling, and he kind of looks up, and he sees Don on the ground. And Don is like, he hit me. And Kenny gets mad because Don is acting like Hangman hit him, and Kenny assumes that he did. So Kenny gets mad at Hangman, and then he leaves with Don Callis. So Don Callis is trying to drive a wedge between Kenny Omega and Hangman Page for some reason. And perhaps Don Callis is behind the attack on the Young Bucks. But I don't think Kenny is in on it. I don't think Kenny knows, right? So Don is trying to pull some sort of thing with Kenny. Does Don have other guys that he's trying to bring in? I know he's been doing a lot of stuff with Konosuke Takeshita. He's been trying to kind of manage him. Maybe Takeshita comes in and attacks Kenny at some point. I don't know. But they're doing something with Don Callis and Kenny and Hangman. But you got to figure Kenny might watch Dynamite and realize, like, oh, Hangman didn't attack my buddy there. And next week he might feel differently towards Hangman and Don Callis. I don't know.
Gotta wait and see. But yeah, it definitely feels like I think Don's probably going to break away from Kenny. I think they're slowly starting to build from that, it seems.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going. I think we're going towards Don leaving Kenny and going with Takeshita. Because Takeshita can wrestle his ass off, but he needs a guy to talk for him. Right? Makes sense.
Right, and Kenny doesn't need a guy to talk for him.
Nope. No, he does not. And Kenny and the Bucks are baby faces. And with Hangman, they're going to be super baby faces. Don Callis is not a babyface manager.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. Why you would break Kenny away from Don Callis. So it makes a lot of sense to me. Let's try to make sense of this, John, before we get back into Dynamite. Can we tackle the CM Punk thing? Because it's, it's kind of a big deal.
To me, it's the biggest thing this week in wrestling.
See if I can get this going here. So here is the deleted post, the deleted Instagram post from CM Punk. We can read it together here.
This is the first one.
Was there more than one?
Yeah, there's a second one. He just put it out a couple minutes ago.
A couple minutes ago?
Yeah, it's another one. We'll read this one first. We'll get to the other one.
Oh, okay. I'm excited. I didn't know there was more. Oh, my God. CM Punk. I wasn't cleared to come back to wrestle yet. Then plan was to wrestle at the pay-per-view. I sat and listened to Moxley's Rocky 3 idea. I explained how I'd never seen a Rocky movie. And thought the idea sucked, but if the boss wanted to do it, whatever. He said he wouldn't lose to me. I'd never experienced someone refusing to lose to me. I just laughed. I asked Tony if this is what he wanted. He said yes. He's the boss, so I said okay, but I need to be cleared first. They kept saying it could just be a squash, so I didn't need to be cleared. I scoffed at that. My health is more important. Dave Meltzer is a liar. Jericho is a liar and a stooge. There were plans, but plans always change. But I'll never put a company above my health ever again. Dave Meltzer is a liar. Jericho is a liar and a stooge. So a lot there from CM Punk in a now deleted Instagram post talking about when he lost to Moxley on Dynamite and then came back and beat him at the pay-per-view. But he did do the match, so I guess he was cleared? Or was he?
Well, from what that's saying is that he wasn't cleared for the squash because it was just a squash, so he didn't have to be cleared for the squash, I guess. That's what it sounds like, but I guess he was cleared for the actual match.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to wonder because he got hurt anyways in that match.
Moxley said he wouldn't lose to him, but he did lose to him.
Well, I think that was the compromise, is that he lost to him because he beat him first.
Mm-hmm. Punk doesn't seem happy with that.
I mean, I don't know about you. I think this is the main thing was just to get people talking again. Because, I mean, it worked. People are talking about CM Punk again. And, things are going now for Punk. Like, people are either wanting Punk back or, like, oh, Punk should stay gone. But it's gotten the talk of CM Punk going again. And I feel like Punk did this intentionally. But the thing is, where is it a work? Where is it a shoot? That's the huge question here on this one. Like, I'm sure he probably doesn't like Dave Meltzer. And maybe there is issues with Jericho, but how far do those issues go? Can he work with him or not? I don't know. And again, with the AEW stuff, how much of that is a work? How much of that is a shoot? How much will that play into a story? How much is he building towards possible feuds going forward? I don't know. But it got people talking. Like, to me, like, my interest got piqued, and I'm like, I definitely can't wait for Punk to come back.
Yeah. I mean,
I guess you found. Did you find
no,
the second post yet? Or
I haven't found anything. I'm looking.
Okay.
I can't wait for Punk to come back. I would love Punk to come back.
Do you feel that might not happen now? Because I know some people don't think it's going to happen now.
I mean, it doesn't seem like things are going in the right direction. He seems to be airing his grievances publicly again with AEW. Now about Moxley and Jericho and even Tony Khan. Doesn't look good. I don't know. You think some of this could be a work? It doesn't feel like it to me, but...
Well, here's the thing, too. Like, I mean, you can't really say a lot of the things that he said, though, if they're accurate, if it's all factual stuff, because there's like a code of conduct, too, for the wrestlers where you can't just speak badly about the company like that. They have some sort of, like, work ethic kind of thing where you can't, like, just badmouth the company or the owner or something like that. Like, it kind of puts Tony Khan in a really bad light, not just Jericho. So I think there's some things about that. And I can kind of understand where people talk about like legal issues. Like, I could see where legal issues can start coming up here if people are wrestling, if they're not cleared to wrestle. I definitely see where there might be some lawsuits potentially involved. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but
I don't know about that. What is this other CM Punk post? Because I haven't found anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
you didn't like just search up Punk again on
I
Twitter?
did. I'm not seeing anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nothing popped up.
No.
There was another thing, something about Shawn Michaels or something. Maybe put Punk Shawn Michaels possibly in a search. Might pop up.
Okay. Shawn Michaels. Why? What does this have to do with anything?
Because he tells like a story about Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Like, to me, it's like I feel Punk might be playing a little bit. That's what it sounds like when I read that story. It's like it made me rethink the first story a little bit.
Okay. Let's see what we can see here. I met Shawn Michaels at a restaurant once. Is this real? This isn't real.
You don't think Punk actually wrote that?
No. This is fake, John. You've been had.
I think Punk wrote that. It sounds like something that would happen.
We'd accidentally been given his table. I met Shawn Michaels at a... I'll just read this to you. We'd accidentally been given his table. Apparently, he was fond of the restaurant and had a specific table he liked, and the management had messed up and gotten their days wrong. It was Tuesday, and they thought he was coming on Thursday or something like that. Anyway, the manager, completely embarrassed, there's a pretty nice restaurant, comes by and says, "I'm so sorry, but we'd like to move you to another table if you could be troubled, and we'll gladly compensate you for the cost of the meal and any other meal while you're in town." My sister and cousin were both like, "Yeah, that's cool," and I kind of played the asshole a bit. "I'm sorry, I just don't understand. We've been here for 15 minutes. We just ordered. Can we finish our meal here?" Then out of nowhere, Shawn Michaels shows up next to the manager and says, "Paul, these guys can finish. We'll be at the bar. I got some time." And I, being a big HBK fan, said, "Oh, wow, I had no idea. Please feel free to give them the table." Shawn was grateful, shook my hand, and said thanks, then gave me a card with his number on it and told me to give him a call later. Did you read this whole thing, John?
No, not all of it.
Jesus. This is clearly fake. Let me
fake?
hear the
That's
end,
too bad.
because I don't think CM Punk posted this. You got worked, John. And let me... After working up the nerve, I gave him a call that night. And to make a long story short, we had a glorious 11-month love affair, man on man, that I shall never forget. Our bodies intertwined as
sounds
one, and from the beauty of Morocco to the French Riviera to the snorkeling in the Galapagos, Shawn Michaels and I make glorious love to each other on 6 of the 7 continents. You think CM Punk
Okay,
posted
that
that?
might be.
You fucking, what the hell are you talking about? Wasting my time trying to find this thing, and this is what I find, John? You got worked. Goddamn jabroni.
It's a good. It'd be funny if that story was true, though.
Yeah, it would be funny if that story was true, but it's clearly not true. You got worked by the internet, John. What are you, AJ? You don't know how to decipher fake news from real news? Here's some real news. It's a Fightful update. Fightful Select, the Sean Ross Sapp. He's got some update on CM Punk. This is from Reddit. I didn't pay for this. This just gets put on Reddit, which is great. Because I don't want to pay for the Sean Ross Sapp. Come on. No offense. I'm just saying I don't want to.
He puts in a lot of hard work, though.
Yeah, no, he does good work, but, a lot of people pay for it, and then they put the good stuff on Reddit, so you can find it there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm a man of the internet. I don't pay for things on the internet a lot of the time. I don't need all that. Anyways, Punk talked to people familiar with the situation that he wasn't going to have the match on August 24th unless he was fully cleared. There's heat between Moxley and Punk, apparently, based on people that spoke to Moxley. Jericho and Punk had a verbal fight after the brawl at All Out, where Jericho called Punk a cancer and Punk yelled at him. So they have heat, too. Obviously.
That's old. It's old news, though, I think.
Yeah. People close to Punk initially believed he wanted out of his contract, but now he seems to be back open to coming back to AEW. One person claiming that Punk said he was willing to apologize over the media scrum, and he expressed some regret over his actions, but it's not clear who he would have to apologize to or anything like that, so I don't know. And apparently he was going to pursue legal action at first, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Punk is still under contract with AEW. And he should be cleared from his injury very soon. This is according to Fightful. Interesting. We'll see. My read on the situation is it doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon.
Really? I don't know. It sounds like we could see him back at any moment, from what it looks like.
Okay. We're reading it differently, I guess. We're reading it differently. FTR seems like they're back. They have signed a deal. Probably with AEW, although they're not confirming. They said, we have signed a deal. Or I don't know if they said they signed a deal, but they know where they're going. They know what their next move is. They're going to sign a deal with somebody. And, I mean, they keep appearing on AEW TV, and they seem to be building towards a match against the AEW Tag Team Champions. Take a guess where they signed.
I mean, it's not impossible, right? Especially if they lose that match. It's like, well, I guess they're not going to be staying in AEW, but I mean, I would think so. Like, I don't know about you. It just feels like WWE is not the best fit for them. I mean, it might work out, but it feels like AEW, there's still a lot more they could do.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like now they're finally like one of the most over acts in the whole company, where I don't know if they ever were when they were actually champions.
Nope.
So like to see them actually be like the top guys that they say they are, like to see them as tag team champions, then that'd be very interesting.
I mean, FTR has been respected for years, but think about where they were when they left the WWE and think about where they are now.
Well, I said in that last year, I thought they were the best tag team. Like even more so, I know you were big on New Day, but I thought the Revival was the best tag team going at that point. And like, I couldn't understand why WWE got rid of them. Like, I don't know why Vince didn't see like the potential that they had. Like, Arn and Tully, it's not a bad tag team to have, like that next generation, Arn and Tully. Like that's actually good to have, but Vince didn't see it that way, sadly. And, you know, thankfully there was somewhere else for them to wrestle. And it took them a while, but now they finally have gotten over and become one of the biggest acts in all of wrestling.
FTR is a throwback tag team. You know, everybody knows that. But not just in their style, but in the way that they have to be presented. They have to be in a division where there are other strong tag teams. They have to be presented with real storylines and not just goofy stuff like they would get in the WWE. You know, like they're a serious tag team. And in WWE, they just don't invest in tag team wrestling. And FTR is a tag team that's worth investing in. And WWE is just not going to do that. They invest in one tag team at a time. Look at their tag team division right now, the WWE. They have one of the greatest tag teams, if not the greatest tag team of all time, in the Usos right now. Right? Usos are one of the best ever. Okay?
Right,
and
yeah,
they have zero competition. Their tag team opponents at WrestleMania is a makeshift tag team that just got together in the past couple of weeks. I mean, the build has been great and everything, but Kevin and Sami are two singles wrestlers that happen to be wrestling as a tag team right now. They don't have it
together.
What?
They have history together. They've had a tag match at WrestleMania.
They're not a fucking tag team. You know what I'm saying? Like FTR is a tag team. Like Young Bucks are a tag team. Like the Road Warriors were a tag team. Like the Street Profits are a tag team. WWE has a few tag teams, but not many. Look at that Fatal 4-Way tag team match. They got the Viking Raiders, which is a badass tag team. You got the Street Profits. They're a tag team. You got Ricochet and Braun Strowman. They won't be a team in a year from now. Like, when you talk about tag team wrestling, WWE just doesn't invest. They've got maybe 3 or 4 actual tag teams. Look at AEW, how many goddamn tag teams they have. They got tons. They got way more. And FTR has benefited from that in AEW. They've benefited from a system that values tag team wrestling more than the WWE.
Well, I think what helps a lot, too, is AEW, like you said, they invested a lot more into tag team, and they made tag teams like main events at certain points. So it's a big showcase. And the fact that not only can they wrestle in AEW, they could be able to wrestle elsewhere as well. They could still wrestle in Japan. They could still wrestle in Mexico. Still wrestle in Europe if they want to. So there's more freedoms in AEW for them. Dax can still probably do his podcast. You know, Regal stopped doing his podcast because he went back to WWE. So,
did
he? Yeah, so you got to look at that. Like, you know, there's positives and negatives, and I'm sure they weighed out their options. You got to wonder too about the money. I'm sure the money wasn't bad for WWE.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's not, but I think that they're making decent money in AEW too. And I saw a comment there that came on from DJ Dark says, AEW has a lot of tag teams, but only maybe half a dozen are actually good. That's not a bad point, but that's 6. 6 is still more than the WWE has.
They're still growing too. They can always get more tag teams. Where I find WWE, they have their main core, and that's pretty much it. They'll stick with. Maybe they'll get a team, whatever, from NXT, but they're not bringing in like any tag teams, which AEW can do. Yeah. They can bring in like Aussie Open. They can bring in another team from AAA.
WWE
they can't do that with.
They just don't value it. They've got the Usos, they got the Viking Raiders, they got the Street Profits, they have the Alpha Academy, but Otis is like halfway out the door in that tag team. And then you got Ricochet and Braun Strowman, and that's not a real tag team. You have no tag team division to speak of in WWE. At least in AEW, you've got the Lucha Brothers, FTR, the Bucks. There's some teams out there. There's some decent teams.
Oh, you got the Acclaimed. You have Top Flight.
Yeah.
Top Flight.
I don't know why they broke up Keith Lee and Swerve, because those guys now are nothing. They were a good tag team. They were tag team champions, and now they're far lower down the card than they ever were.
Yeah, I think they didn't really expect them to work out. I think it just kind of happenstance where it's like, well, we'll put them together, see how it works. It actually worked out very well. They got a tag run out of it. It's pretty good. But I think the original plan was to always have them as like singles guys.
How's that working out?
Yeah, it's not really happening right now, but time will tell. I think in terms of them building up their second tier shows. I think that's the thing that they need to work on the most is building up those like secondary feuds. Doesn't help that Rampage isn't even on tonight. We have to wait until Saturday night to watch Rampage now.
You gonna watch it?
Probably not, but I mean, it's your only chance to watch it now.
Yeah. Ass Boys beat Top Flight this week to retain the AEW tag titles, and FTR showed up after the match. Ass Boys say FTR are losers because they lost 3 sets of belts, and they lost to them, and they'll never get another tag team title shot. And Cash is like, well, how about this? If we get another shot, we'll never challenge for the belts again if we lose. And the Ass Boys are like, nah. And Cash is like, well, how about this? We'll get a shot, and if we lose, we'll never tag again in AEW. Ass Boys are like, nah. And then Dax is like, well, how about this? We'll leave AEW for good if we can't beat you. Ass Boys are like, yeah, all right, fair enough. So they go to the shake hands with each other, and then the Ass Boys spit in the face of FTR and leave the ring. So FTR has to win the tag team titles or they have to leave AEW, which I don't think they're going to do. I think they will win the tag team titles. I wonder when this match will take place, though. They didn't say when. They're like, here's the match.
It has to be like before the end of April. Isn't that when their contracts are expiring?
I guess.
So it has to be before the pay-per-view.
Okay. So at some point, we will have this match. I hate when they do that, man. I hate when they do that. Announce a match and then don't tell you when it's going to be. Like, you don't have to do it in the ring. Show a graphic afterwards on the TV show. Do not announce a match and then have the show end. We don't know when it's going to be. That's not how you promote a match. These are promos meant to promote. You are supposed to build. How do you build without telling me when and where? That is basic promotion. We have an event. Cool. This event looks good. This wrestling match looks good. When and where, Tony Khan? When and where? It's basic promotion. It's not even complicated. I interview somebody. They have an event to promote. I say, this event sounds great. When and where? How do people see this? AEW's like, keep watching. We'll tell you when. Come on, man. It's basic. It's simple. It's simple promotion to get you to the next spot, to get more people watching your show. And they flub it.
Why? I think it's in the case of this where they just didn't have a date set for it. And they had FTR at this event, so they might have them at the next event. So let's get this done now, and then we can always just air a little thing like this happened last time, and then finally air this is when the match will happen kind of thing.
Shouldn't they know when they're going to have them? Like, everybody's there. They know when their dates are. They know their availabilities. They know what cities they have in the next 3-4 weeks. They know they're not going to do it at the pay-per-view in May. It's not rocket science. It's pro wrestling. How many times do we have to...
Yeah, but...
We need to put that on a goddamn T-shirt. It's not rocket science. It's pro wrestling. Because these goddamn people that run these wrestling companies seem like it's beyond them.
Well, I think it's just more of like, you got to think of all the matches they're going to have like next week and then the week afterwards. And it's like, where can this fit? Because that match, more than likely, that's a main event of a show. So on which show, on what week is that going to work the best? They just haven't thought that far ahead. Which, I know, I can kind of understand in a sense because there's a lot going on at the same time.
No, I don't accept that.
And
Plan ahead.
they haven't signed the contracts yet either, so nothing's like concrete.
Yeah, come on. It's a done deal. We know Adam Cole will wrestle Daniel Garcia on Dynamite next week. There's a match for next week. So that's one match.
It's supposed to coincide because the new show's debuting next week after Dynamite, right?
Yes. And I've heard that there is a lot to take in on that all-access backstage AEW show. People have seen the first episode, and there's a lot there. Like, a lot of stuff.
Can we see it in
and
Canada?
A lot to... What?
Can we see it in Canada, or is it only going to air in the States?
I have no idea. But apparently it's interesting. So keep an eye out for that next week. Sting, Darby Allin, and Orange Cassidy beat Kip Sabian, The Butcher, and The Blade. Scorpion Death Drop on Kip for the win for the Stinger. Orange and Sting celebrated in the ring while Darby stood in the corner looking at the Double or Nothing sign, possibly building towards a title match at Double or Nothing. Maybe a fatal four-way with MJF, Jungle Boy, and Sammy Guevara. Seems like that's where we're headed.
Yeah, it makes the most sense. They want to do that 4 pillars match. And that's fine. That's great, You know, Sting had his moment on Dynamite. I don't think he needs to have a pay-per-view match. I don't think we'll probably see him wrestle for a while, but to have these odd matches here and there, I think it's fine. It's definitely a great way to get the crowd going for an opening match. I thought that was more than fine.
Yeah, we hadn't seen Sting in a while. It was cool to see him. It's like, oh, Sting, where you been?
Well, he just had a birthday. He's 64 now, so.
Jeez. You know, they use him very well. It's just when you see Sting, he's used perfectly in AEW. It was a perfect spot for him. Hook and Stokely Hathaway had a match for some reason.
Something.
Stokely ran away. Hook chased him, brought him back. Stokely got a fire extinguisher, sprayed Hook. Stokely grabbed a chair, but Hook took it from him and hit him a few times with it, and then suplexed Stokely on a guardrail and went for a cover, but pulled him up at 2. He had him beat, but he's like, no, more beating. And then locked in a rear naked choke and put him to sleep, and even held on to the choke a little bit afterwards. Hook's supposed to be a babyface, right? Right? Why is he beating up this comedic manager who's like abandoned by his own crew? Why did his own crew abandon him? Isaiah Cassidy, Big Bill, Moriarty, Matt Hardy, Ethan Page, they were all on the stage for him, and they came out with him, but then they left him to the ring by himself to get a beating from Hook. This didn't make Hook look great.
That was part of the stipulation.
Okay. This was bad. I didn't like any of this. Hook looked mean and like unnecessarily like a bully. And the match wasn't great. Like there was nothing redeeming about any of this.
Well, I think it's more of one of those things where it's beat up the manager has been annoying people for so long and, always cheating or getting the best of people, and now it's finally gets his comeuppance. And that's pretty much what happened. That's why it was kind of ruthless in a sense, the way Hook was because, Stokely's been such a jerk that he deserves the beating that he gets. I thought it was just kind of light. I mean, it felt like, WWF hardcore 2000 kind of match. It didn't feel like it was anything too crazy, but that typical just, we'll have a guardrail of a little piece of furniture here or there that we use. But it was very basic, wasn't anything out of the ordinary. I thought it was too long for what it was, but that was the story they were telling.
I didn't need any of it. None of it. I like Stokely's Nation of Domination outfit. Other than that, I don't know. Jade Cargill did a promo. She doesn't like Taya Valkyrie. She doesn't like Taya using her finishing move last week. And Mark Sterling is back with Jade and has a cease and desist for Taya to stop using the finisher. And Layla Gray will deliver the cease and desist personally on Rampage. They set up a few things for Rampage. Layla Gray versus Taya Valkyrie in a match. Will Hobbs defending the AEW TNT title against Pentagon. Jake Hager versus Brody King, and The Acclaimed versus The Kingdom. And Ricky Starks will call out Juice Robinson. So they set up quite a bit for Rampage, which will be a special Saturday night 10 p.m. start time, I think. Is it an hour-long show or two? Just one, right?
I think it's just an hour, yeah. Just an
Seem
hour.
to have a lot set up for it, though.
Yeah, but I'm sure a lot will happen quick. There might be like a match that lasts like 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Moxley beat Stu Grayson this week. Stu Grayson signed a new AEW contract last week and lost in the tag match. He took the fall. And now loses again to Moxley in a pretty uneventful match. Moxley didn't even bleed. This is the first match in months that I haven't seen Moxley bleed in.
Right, but I thought they gave Stu a lot of over in this match, though. Like, he went toe-to-toe with one of the top like stars in AEW, which I think that's what was lacking. Like, I remember talking to him when he was here for an FLQ show. That was one of the big problems, like, why he left AEW, because he just wasn't getting that opportunity just to showcase himself. When he was in a match, sometimes he'd be in a match, he'd do a spot or two, and that was it. This, like, he's already done more. He's never had a singles match on Dynamite.
Wow.
So the fact that they gave him this finally, sure, he didn't win, but not many people beat Moxley. But just to get the opportunity, that's hard enough as it is. And I thought he did a really good job of showcasing himself that I think we're probably going to see a lot more of him.
I just would like him to come in and maybe not wrestle Moxley, wrestle somebody else in his first singles match on Dynamite. I'd like to see him win. I don't know. There's a way to build somebody, and I don't know if this is it. So
no, I get you, but that seems to be the thing they do, though, is that you're going to wrestle top guys, you'll lose for a bit, but at least you'll be showcased, and then eventually you'll get some wins. It's kind of what they did with Daniel Garcia at first. Like, they just shoved him down our throats. He wrestled all top guys, always lost.
Yeah.
But he was always there, and then eventually they gave him something.
I don't know if that's the way to do it, but it's the way they do it. They did another QTV segment this week. It wasn't as bad as last week, but it was also not good. They need to stop.
It's interesting. I had to listen to Tony Schiavone's podcast to really know like the characters involved in this, because I guess one of the characters in the background is his son. I don't know if you knew that or not. Apparently his son's one of the guys there.
Okay.
And I guess Schiavone knows who the girl is in this, and I think he believes like she's going to be a big star one day.
Okay.
Fine. All right. Sure.
Maybe.
But, yeah, maybe. I don't know. But they really seem to be high on this stuff, or he seemed to be very high on this.
Well, because his son's in it.
So, well, his son's in it, and I guess he knows all the other talents involved. So
it's garbage.
Like, you might not like it, but
no.
People in AEW seem to like it a lot and want it to work. So they're gonna push it to work.
People in AEW want a lot of things to work. The Brandy Rhodes experiments, the various factions that they've made and disbanded. A lot of things they attempt to make happen. Anthony Ogogo and so on. He's a Nightmare Factory product, right? With QT and all that. How'd that work out? Brock Anderson, right? Remember that? How'd that work out? A lot of these little projects they have, and they fail miserably. A lot of them coming out of the QT Marshall Nightmare Factory, right? A lot of them. A lot of that whole area seems like a black hole for professional wrestling. Anybody coming out of there seems to fail miserably once they get to AEW TV. A lot of people in AEW have high hopes for them, but once we actually see them, it's like, oh yeah, this is terrible. Like, why is Aaron Solo still a thing? Why?
Well, they see something in him. That's it. But I think the thing is, like, he's associated with QT. And the thing is, QT's group is kind of like the Job Squad in a sense. But with Will Hobbs, it kind of throws it off a bit because Will Hobbs is a champion. So it's a different kind of look for it. But
yeah, he's surrounded with a bunch of jobbers. Will Hobbs was a star, and then they saddled him with QT and a bunch of losers, and it makes Will Hobbs just look like a loser because he's just sitting there in the room with them, and he's just like part of the crowd of losers and unknown jabronis. Tony Schiavone's son is getting more airtime than Will Hobbs. It's horrible.
Well,
what are they doing?
Like,
what are they doing?
They're really pushing this. Like, they really want this to work. So that's why you're going to see it a lot, I think.
It's failing miserably. Toni Storm beats Sky Blue after the Storm Zero. Saraya and Ruby came in right after the match to spray paint Sky Blue green. Riho and Willow Nightingale. Sky Blue is green. They were also going to spray paint her green, but her name is blue. Riho and Willow Nightingale made the save. Riho had some sort of pipe that looked too heavy for her and was going to topple her over as she ran to the ring. That was a bad run.
Wasn't going to topple her over.
It looked like it was too heavy and she was going to fall over because she couldn't carry it. The pipe she was carrying looked bigger and heavier than her.
It looked ridiculously big, but it didn't look like it was going to be listed like that. I thought it was a good match, though. I thought Toni really showcased that she can have good matches with about almost anybody.
Sky Blue, though.
Toni, Sky Blue is not actually that good. So, I thought Toni really showcased wow, she can have a good match with almost about anybody. Toni Storm might be one of the best women wrestlers going today.
Sure, but when she's wrestling Sky Blue, I want to change the channel.
Yeah, well, I actually didn't feel that way. I'm like, this is probably the best Sky Blue match I've seen so far.
That's not saying much, though. It's just as soon as I see Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale, I'm like, what is this? Some low-level bullshit, and I don't want to be involved. And I don't understand why Toni and Saraya and even Ruby have to be involved with these jabronis. This is the competition?
Well, they can't face the champion all the time.
Yeah, okay. So this is your backup. Riho, Willow, and Sky Blue. Shows you that women's division is not developed. They have very little going for them. Very little. They've done a terrible job of building that division. Jade Cargill's off on an island on her own for some reason. Then you got everybody else. It's just like whoever's Jade's opponent at the moment, and then there's, whatever Britt Baker's doing, and everybody else. No development. And again, here's Riho, who was champion for how long in AEW? Right? Champion around a lot. She comes in here and is not a star. If Riho was somebody that you gave a shit about, her coming in to go up against Toni Storm and Saraya would be more of a big deal. If Riho was properly built over the past several years in AEW, she could actually elevate Willow and Sky Blue by being with Riho, a former champion and a legit star in the company. Like Britt Baker helped elevate Jamie Hayter when Jamie Hayter came in. Because Britt Baker is a legit star in the company. But they didn't do shit to build Riho in AEW, despite the fact that they kept throwing her in matches, kept giving her the belt. We never saw a thing about who she is, why she is, and what she is. We never heard her talk, not even with subtitles. Jack shit. Creative-wise, character development-wise, with Riho. And you could say, well, Riho sucks. Who gives a shit? That's not the point. The point is, she can wrestle all right. She's tiny, but they have put her on TV and made her champion a lot. And we have done nothing to make her into a star. So now you're at a point where you're a few years down the road with Riho, and instead of having a developed product that you could do something with and help build the division with, you have jack shit. Because you haven't built her for shit. Because you're fucking lazy, you're not paying attention. And that's why you have no division. Where's Hikaru Shida? Where's Thunder Rosa? Is she ever going to get better? What happened to the people they tried to build? They haven't built shit. They pay no attention to anybody. People come and go. No character development. Nothing. It's frustrating because there's talent. And they're putting them on TV, but they don't do shit to help them. Why did Riho never get a promo? I've never seen a Riho promo. She was champion for months. I don't know what she sounds like. I don't know if she speaks English. I assume she doesn't. But, like, so what? I can read. Let her speak Japanese with subtitles backstage once. God, I'm losing it. I'm losing my voice here. I'm getting pissed off.
You're dying here.
Yeah.
But, it's not something to get too mad about because, like, I think that's it. They're just trying to protect her in a sense where they know she can't cut a promo. So they just wanted to showcase the fact that she can wrestle. Let's just showcase her highlights.
You couldn't film her for 10. You couldn't interview her for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and cut the best 3 minutes out of that and edit it with some video package to do something? Dude, even if you can't talk, there's a way for the company to do something and try to build you, right? Like, they could have focused on her character a bit. She doesn't need to fucking speak English, man. Look at Asuka. Does she speak English? Fucking barely. She's got character development. I mean, it's not great, but, like, you can do stuff with Riho. And it's not the point of, well, she can't speak English. That doesn't matter. Have her speak in Japanese. Put some subtitles on that. There's a way to get her over. The fact of the matter is, she's been there. They've tried to make her into a star. And the way that they have done that has been a complete and utter failure. That's the point. The point is not like, well, she can't cut a promo, so what do you want them to do? No. If they can't make her into a star, if she's not a star at this point in their company, they have failed because they clearly wanted to make her a star. They have put her on TV consistently. They have made her champion. They have put her in big matches. Riho is one of the cornerstones of the division, and she is a nobody. That's the point. The point is AEW clearly has ideas about Riho as far as, respect level, putting her on TV. They like her, and they have done nothing to help her become a star, and they have done nothing to make the audience want to see her or care about her. Yeah, like, see, Trans Am is, like, you're missing the point. She's 90 pounds and she's Kenny Omega's whatever. Like, you don't have to like Riho. I don't give a shit if you like Riho or not. The point is, AEW likes Riho, and they have failed in making her into a star. Jade Cargill speaks almost every week on TV. Briefly, but she's there. There's character development. I have never seen Riho speak. Ever. And if she doesn't speak English, who cares? If you can't watch a promo that's subtitled, that's on you. If you're illiterate, that's your problem. AEW should be catering to their literate fans. How about that? If you can't read, maybe you shouldn't watch wrestling. Maybe you should learn to read first. It's not the point of whether you like her or not, right? That's not my point. I don't give a shit about Riho. My point is AEW's failure of making a star. Like, why put her on TV and have her win matches? Why make her champion if you're not going to invest in some character development too? You can't just put her out in wrestling matches and have her wrestle, and then we never see her again after the wrestling is done. You got to see her backstage having interactions with other people so you know how she feels and how she acts. I don't know shit about Riho other than she's small and Japanese and she wrestles in AEW. Nothing.
Well, I think It's just the way they want to present her. They just want to present her more as just pretty much a wrestler, and that's just the straight kind of way about her, kind of thing. And like we're getting a little bit with this whole thing with the Outcasts, but it's just the little things that they want to do. It seems they're highly protective of her, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've had opportunities to expand on her character and they just haven't done it. So that's just, I think, their reasoning for whatever reason they have. They decide that this is as far as they want to go with her. And, they'll go a little bit more, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take quite a bit of time, and they're limited on how much they want to give you. So you're going to have to understand that. It might be frustrating to see that.
Well, whatever.
But
the byproduct of that, it's not really about Riho, man. The byproduct of Riho sucking and having nothing to her is that when you have real stars like Toni Storm and Saraya, they have no opposition. Like, Toni Storm and Saraya are legit. They deserve real competition, but they can't wrestle Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter forever. They got to move on to other people in AEW, and the problem is, when you go to other people in AEW, nobody there. There's Riho, and Riho should be established at this point because she's been champion. She's been around, but she's not. Where's Hikaru Shida? She's not a champion. Like, she's another one that had no character development, that was around a lot, but yeah.
Well, there was a little bit to her, but more than Riho, that's for sure.
Yeah, but still, right? Like, they've made people, like, I'm saying, if you're not going to make them stars, if you're not going to develop the characters, don't put them on TV and make them your world champion. I guess it's ridiculous. Shida and Riho should have never happened. But they did, and we wasted time there. So it's like, it's TV time that you've invested in people, and now when it's time to cash in those chips with a major feud, you can't, because you haven't actually made anything, Riho and crew is not intimidating to Toni Storm and crew, because Toni Storm is Toni Storm, and Saraya is Paige, and Riho is nobody, and Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue are less than nobody, because Riho is the fucking ringleader of this jabroni group, and if she's the leader and she sucks, imagine how bad the other two suck, right? That's the problem, is that these mega stars that you have are in there against garbage competition because you haven't built it up. AEW is supposed to do a job by building up their competition. They haven't. So when it's time to sign big stars like Paige, they got nobody for her to wrestle. They gave her Britt Baker right off the bat, and then they're like, we got nothing else. Sorry, Paige. That's how it is. I'm not.
Well, she had a three-way, and she'll get Hayter eventually.
And that guy, Brad Maddox. What are you bringing that up for?
I'm talking about the three-way at the pay-per-view that you saw the match with Ruby and Hayter.
Okay. Saraya, not Paige. I get it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You watched that video with Maddox and Woods. I didn't.
Who didn't? New Day?
I didn't. I didn't, because that was a leak, and you shouldn't watch leaked videos.
Sorry.
We've had this discussion before. I told you not to watch it, but you still watched it anyway.
Everybody saw it. It was everywhere. Everybody saw it. I couldn't help but see it. It was part of my journalism integrity to watch it. I also watched Lars Sullivan get sucked off by a dude. All right? I got to see these things. I've seen Seth Rollins' penis. I've seen Hulk Hogan's bare ass. I've seen it all, baby. I've seen Charlotte Flair's topless, too. All sorts of weird things on the internet that show up. I can't help it. People are like, look at this wrestling controversy. I click the thing. I'm like, oh, my God, Seth Rollins' penis. I've seen Ricochet finger his own butt. I mean, come on. We've seen it all, baby. We've seen it all. Wasn't there some Toni Storm leaks, too, at one point? I don't remember. I think maybe. Good for her.
I'm sure you have to go back. have to look back in your archives, I guess.
Yeah. I got the footage here. I got it all stored in tapes, various VHS tapes that I got. I got the Page video on a VHS tape. I'm old school. I work out to the Lars video every morning. That's interesting. Lars Sullivan. What a guy. Okay, that's enough. Let's end with Lars Sullivan. Let's finish because Lars couldn't. If you've seen the video, you know what I mean. John, when is your next match? When can people see you in the ring?
So April 2nd, I think we've been talking about this last little bit. 4 p.m., 1000 Boulevard d'Avenir. I'm wrestling Alexander Cable, I believe. Might be opening match, so you want to get there early. 4 p.m. bell time in Laval. It's right next to Montmorency Metro, so pretty good access, I think, to get to. Very close to Place Belle as well, so if you're in the Laval area, that's something to check out. April 2nd, instead of WrestleMania. Don't watch WrestleMania Night 2. Come to my show instead.
Yeah, skip out on WrestleMania Night 2, but then come back here for the Ringside Report Network post-show, and I'll get you caught up on everything you missed at WrestleMania. Go to John's show, and then come back, and I'll tell you about WrestleMania, right?
That works pretty good, yeah. Because my show should be over by 6:30.
Yeah, which probably gives you plenty of time to watch WrestleMania that starts at like 8, no?
Well, if you've ever been to a wrestling show, like leaving a wrestling show, especially the last one I went to, I got home 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but you stay around. Like most people that attend the wrestling show will leave when the show is over at 6:30.
Right, yeah.
Not you. You will be still backstage doing various promos and whatever. You got work after the wrestling match is over. But other people that can attend, they could go attend the Johnny North wrestling match, go back home, watch WrestleMania, or go out, watch WrestleMania somewhere, and then come back here and watch me talk about WrestleMania on the Ringside Report Network, because we will be doing post shows for both nights of WrestleMania, Night 1 and Night 2. I know my brother will be with me for Night 1. I don't know who's going to be with me for Night 2.
Get AJ, maybe?
Maybe AJ. It may be AJ, which is always exciting. So WrestleMania is next weekend. Next weekend. Crazy. All right, we'll be back next Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right after SmackDown to preview WrestleMania. Thank you to everybody tuning in here on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, on Rumble, all my Rumble people. Keep on rumbling. Yeah, on all the things. Thanks for watching, listening to the podcast as well. The podcast will be up audio form at some point this weekend, probably tomorrow. And that's it. That's it for me. Thanks, everybody. We love you. It's Wrestling Uncensored on the Ringside Report Network.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.